Hello all. Uh, hey all. Thanks for being here. If you're here, we are going to have the All Black Everything Roundtable. Maybe we'll see. Actually, it's going to be a rough one today. Um, um, we're looking for new participants, and we just don't have that many right now. I just being honest with the audience here, there's no one here, so it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, it's we just don't have that many black people currently. Sometimes we have more than we need. Sometimes we have less, and this is just one of those valleys. So hopefully that'll change soon. But yeah, as of now, we just don't have that many people to work with. Um, and sometimes the show doesn't have them because of that. Like for instance, so I think we haven't done this in 2 weeks or so, right? Um, Last week was Thanksgiving, so it is what it is. Um, like I would have done the show. I would have done it on, you know, that's me. But the week before, we didn't have enough people. And it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the realities of doing these shows. I don't have money to pay them, so it is what it is. I've only had money to pay people. Oh boy. I could get some big guests here. Yeah, I'll, pay a couple on the show and we'll have a good time. Um, but it's not the case, right? So, black people are late as always. So what we're gonna do is we're going to discuss like this from Google. The I always like the Google flash images. They do Google Doodles. Google does a good job with that. Wish it were just a better company. We're pretty evil. Man assault and shooting me have traveled to NYC from Atlanta last month. My thoughts on this person who killed the CEO of the health insurance company. I'm like still trying to like process my feelings. My feelings aren't all negative. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm gonna give the highlight here. My feelings aren't all negative towards this individual who killed the um, United Healthcare CEO, which everyone seems to know that story now. This guy like straight up assassinated this dude. They straight up assassinated the CEO. Um, and that was that. So I'm not for violence. I don't want our system to change for violence, but like I get why people do it. This is terrorism, though. This is an act of. This seems an act of terror. I guess we aren't for sure don't for sure know the motive. So I will say this is an act of terror, right? Especially if you want policy change. Then if you're doing it through violence, through intimidation, that's like the definition of terrorism. Our thought on our the word terrorist has shifted in American culture since 9/11, right? Like the way we use terrorism has changed. This wasn't a word that you heard all the time in American culture previously, before 9/11. After 9/11, after that attack, like we throw that word around a lot, right? But it is a person using terror, right, using violence to get political or social change. That's what that is, right? It's not like a brown person. No, it's not a Muslim. Some people will think otherwise in this country, but that's not what that means, right? And if this person is trying to get that political change through violence, that makes him a terrorist, 100%. I, but that doesn't end the conversation for as to how I feel about this particular act. Um, I don't want people to die. I don't want people to die. I don't want the CEO person to die. I don't want, but more importantly, far more importantly, I don't want all the people under him, the United Healthcare, the customers of United Healthcare to die either. But they do. United Healthcare helps them along their way to death because of greed, because of capitalism. So my feelings are mixed. Still working them out. And I like every time I think of the story, they're in constant flux. You know. Yeah, it's an issue. Hannah Kobayashi's family investigating possibility she was part of an immigration marriage scam. I don't know who this person is. Hannah Kobayashi. She's an attractive, light-skinned person. Kobayashi is a Japanese last name. Maybe she's Japanese, or half Japanese. I can't tell from this one picture, but she's an attractive woman. In a picture like that, used by the media, and then she's dead. The Kobayashi hasn't confirmed information about a possible secret marriage and urged the public to avoid jumping to conclusions. And Kobayashi said they are investigating whether she was involved in the possible secret marriage. Police said Monday that Kobayashi, 30, of Hawaii, there's a lot of Japanese people in Hawaii, who was the center of a missing person search in Los Angeles, had willfully crossed into Mexico and was reclassified as a voluntary missing person. Okay, so maybe she's not dead. Okay. Los Angeles magazine report published Wednesday. Because otherwise, why is this attractive woman? Yeah, I guess she's Asian. It's hard to tell with this picture. She's an attractive person, which is why the media gives a fuck about this, right? But people go missing all the time. It's just interesting who gets the media's attention, and a woman like her is exactly what gets the media's attention. And she's an adult. I mean, still, if someone's missing, I want people to be looking for them, right? If this person's in trouble, I want this person to get help. It's very important. We should help our brothers and sisters. I just want more people who look like me to also get that help. A Los Angeles magazine reported published Wednesday, citing sources, said she may have been involved in a green card marriage as part of an immigration scam for money, or she disappeared. Immigration scam for money. Immigration scam for money. I don't like this. I don't like this phrase. I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all. So she seems to be an American citizen, and I'm literally I never heard of this situation before. I'm just 3 paragraphs in. Right, this is as much as I know right here. That's it. But this idea of an immigration scam for money. A scam? What were they scamming? What were they scamming? Is that person trying to just get citizenship because we don't have like proper channels to make it right? So, being a person who's known a lot of undocumented citizens, or I'm sorry, immigrants. Excuse me. Yeah, no, they're not citizens, but undocumented immigrants. It's very difficult to become documented, especially once you by the time you become an adult, right? Like it's easier for children. Like there are a few more paths, like through adoption or something. But as an adult, it's extremely difficult to become a citizen. And you want to become a citizen. You want to get documented, pay your taxes, and all that good stuff. You want to contribute to society fully, like anyone else, right? You're here to commit to the American dream. Very difficult to do that. And one of the easiest way is to get married, right? And to say this is a scam, yeah, like okay, like it counts, right? When you're getting married or for love, but it's a scam when you're getting married for money to get the green card, right? One way or the other, you're getting the green card, right? And even people who marry for love, right, for the good reasons, like in their back of the mind, if you're an undocumented citizen, she's like, yes, thank you. This gets me in as well. As of course a consideration, right? But I guess in this situation, well, they specifically did it for money. Okay, well then, and that would be illegal. But then other people in this country, right, citizens, marry for money all the time. We know this, right? We call them sugar babies. We call them gold diggers. We call them all kinds of words for these individuals who marry individuals for their wealth, right? For there's a money exchange happening there. That's why I'm going to get married, right? There's going to be some sort of money exchange, and then we're going to form a marriage union, right? Now, we can criticize those, but we don't call them scams, right? But this we call a scam. Is this a scam? Why? There's no scamming, unless the only thing that might be a scam, because again I'm only 3 paragraphs in, so the only thing that might be a scam is if actually, it doesn't work the other way, because she is the citizen. So like there could be a scam where if you're undocumented and you're like, I'm looking to exchange money for marriage so I can get my green card, right? And there could be a situation where like the citizen that you're trying to marry like takes the money and runs. That's a scam. That would be a scam. But in this situation, as far as I know, right, unless she's the undocumented, no, she's going to Mexico. It doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, unless she's the undocumented individual, right, I don't see how she could be scammed. Unless she's a scammer. I mean, I guess I looked at this beautiful young woman and assumed that she wasn't a scammer. I guess a deficit in my own thinking, but my own imagination. But maybe I guess she's a scammer. I guess so. There could be a problem. But then, why would she disappear over that? All right. The report said Kobayashi may have been scammed out of proceeds in the purported scheme involving her marrying an Argentine man. Oh, okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. I should have read the 4th paragraph. So, yeah. So this is the scam I was talking about, and where you can lose out. You can be intending to marry someone for. You can intend for citizenship. You can intend to marry someone for citizenship, and then they just take your money, right? So I guess I was assuming that she was trying to come here, but I didn't consider that she was trying to go somewhere else. Again, a deficit in my own imagination there. So maybe she's trying to become Argentinian. And then she got scammed out of her money. All right, well then it lines up with what I said before. That's the only time it becomes a scam. The source said the possible scam was, but still, I stand by everything else I said, though. To be clear, I stand by everything else I say, because of the way people look at these things. I don't like it, the way you do that. Like, if people are marrying for money, right? Like, that's fine. I think it's just fine in general. That's a fine thing to do. It deserves just as much respect as any other marriage consideration. Like what do we have? Why would we ever care why anyone gets married? As long as you're not doing under duress, right? As long as not like a child bride, like other than that, right? Then people really shouldn't be giving a fuck about why people get married. The source said of the possible scam was discovered by Kobayashi's mother, who found immigration documents in her daughter's Hawaii home that listed an immigration attorney. No, wait a minute. It seems like, okay, maybe I should just read this article because she's a citizen, and the Argentine man is actually trying to come here. Maybe she's supposed to get paid, but she wasn't paid. Okay, I don't know. Let me just read the article, and then maybe we'll have an idea what's happening. Okay, let's try that. The Los Angeles Magazine reported that the press said investigating possible marriage scam. NBC News has not verified the report. The FBI's Los Angeles field office said it assisted in Kobayashi's case, but it deferred comment to Los Angeles office. Sarah Azari, an attorney for the Kobayashi family, shared a statement on behalf of the family Wednesday, saying, "We want to stress that the family has not publicly announced any information regarding any alleged marriage because we did not have the facts or the necessary documents to verify the legitimacy of the information. The family has not confirmed the authenticity of the images or the accuracy of the information provided about a possible secret marriage. This is one of many leads we are actively investigating with the help of our attorney and investigative team," the statement said, noting that the family turned over any information they had to law enforcement. Namely, asked the public to avoid jumping to conclusions, to avoid spreading of unverified claims. It's especially important not to perpetuate speculation that anyone is involved in scam, as this only hinders our efforts to find Hannah and bring clarity and closure to the nightmare we are living because of her disappearance, state said. We remain focused on verifying the details and leads we have received and ask for your understanding and patience as we continue our investigation. The family said, thanking the public for its support and get people involved in the search. Okay. So this is Hannah Kobayashi.
A new twist in the.
I'm gonna mute everything. I'm just seeing this is what she looks like. She's a very pretty person. Concern over Kobayashi started November 8th as the day she landed at Los Angeles International Airport from Honolulu with plans to catch a connecting flight to New York City. She missed the connecting flight. Much of it said she used her time sightseeing in Los Angeles. She went to the Grove Shopping Center, about 12 miles north of the Los Angeles airport, the following day and the day after, and that returned to the airport each time. A short time that posted on the private hub Find Hannah Facebook group page by Sydney Kobayashi, her sister. On November 11th, she was seen speaking with a ticketing agent at the airport. Later that day, she got on a metro train at South Los Angeles, that then to downtown Los Angeles, accompanied by an unidentified man. Police said that day family members said she sent messages that concerned them because their content and voice didn't seem to match hers. And his last message to us was alarming. She mentioned feeling scared and that someone might be trying to steal her money and identity. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, man. Kobayashi's aunt, Larry Pigeon, said on Facebook, November 12th, she was seen at a Greyhound bus station in downtown Los Angeles alone. Los Angeles Police Chief Jim McDonald said that Monday that she was reported missing on November 13th, and the police department took over the case on November 15th. Police said Monday they reviewed U.S. Customs and Border Protection video showing Kobayashi crossed into Mexico on foot at land port, in San Diego at November 12th, leading them to conclude she was missing voluntarily. I guess she could have still been kind of coerced across, or even no one was had a gun to her head, McDonald said there's no evidence Kobayashi is a victim of human trafficking or foul play. Police said at a news conference that detectives reviewed her social media accounts, which led them to believe she wanted to disconnect. Kobayashi's relatives have gathered in Los Angeles to search for her, and her father, Ryan Kobayashi, 58, died by suicide November 24th. What? What a twist! Her father died by suicide near the airport? What? What a twist! Why? Los Angeles County Medical Examiner said he died as a result of multiple blunt force trauma injuries. I'm very sorry to the family for all that they've been through, McDonald said Monday. Asked to comment on possible marriage and the family's concern, Los Angeles police referred to Monday's news conference as the last update they will provide. Sydney Kobayashi said the family was not satisfied with the police conclusion. We're just as confused and just as frustrated more than anything now, Sydney Kobayashi said Tuesday on NBC News Now top story with, whatever. She urged her sister to reach out to the family. I can't stress enough how loved you are, how supported you are, she said. We're really worried about you no matter what situation you're in. You always have a home to come to. Azari said the family would deploy volunteers to look for Hannah in Mexico. What? The father kills himself? What a twist! Why? Okay. Fascinating. Huh. A marriage scam where the citizen is being scammed out of proceeds? Or maybe they're trying to... She said someone's trying to steal her identity. That could happen in a marriage scam, I guess, right? If you exchange that kind of information, they try to steal your identity. That could happen, possibly. Right? Right, I guess? It's still hard for me to wrap my head around sort of marriage scam in which she, as the citizen, because it seems she's the citizen, and she's not trying to go to Argentina? If she's not going there, right, and she's trying to help someone immigrate here, it's very difficult for me to see how she could get scammed other than them not paying her if they agree to a price. Like that's like, you know, like, and then she's already married him, and then the money doesn't come, right? Like that'd be a problem. I think they would. Very confusing. Yeah, now I feel like her sister was saying, we were just actually just very confused by the end of it. And again, like the marriage scam thing isn't confirmed. It's just something that there's some weirdness, some odd shit that's happening there. Her crossing into Mexico by foot, you know, that's interesting. She could be forced, right? Like, hey man, if you don't cross into Mexico, then we'll shoot your sister or some shit like that, you know, it'll hurt your family. You know, there's all kinds of ways to get people to go on their own, right, without like someone like being followed by an unidentified man, you know. There's all kinds of ways to coerce a person to cross into there. I hope she's not dead. She's not dead. Wow. Okay. There's some black people around here, so let's talk to the black people who are here. And we'll move forward. We got some black people around. Talk to black people. Ahoy, hoy. Can you hear me? Hopefully.
Nope.
Hey.
Hey, so I was listening to what you were just saying,
Uh-huh.
and I think what you said sounded like true on very, very face value when you
Okay.
were talking about marriage. Like we shouldn't care, but I'm sure if we like thought for like 5 seconds, we could think of like 1,000 reasons why we probably should care. There should be like standards for marriage.
Like I said, for child marriage or for like
No,
a
no,
person's
for
course. Yeah.
mutual consenting adults, there should still be like
Yeah.
standards for marriage.
Okay, well then, please let me know. What do you think?
Yeah, so like off the top of my head, I immediately thought like, oh, okay, we have rules, we have laws in this country. It would be dumb if we just allowed a loophole if you like, oh, anyone who got married was immediately granted citizenship and then they could just divorce. Like if that became a job, like on professional spouse.
It takes years for that to happen. I mean, like, no, like it's not
Or
like,
not in marriage.
yeah, actually, I don't know. I mean, I've looked into this. You get married, right? So let's say, Bam, right? He finds some gorgeous Kenyan woman, right? Trying to get a passport. She's got to be black or otherwise, you know, it's not gonna work for Bam. Like this gorgeous Kenyan woman. But like despite his best attempts, she's not interested in him for his loving, right? More just for his citizenship. And she's like, yeah, like I'll pay you to marry me. Which is this is already a weird situation. If she was less gorgeous, then I guess it would, maybe she should have to pay you. In any case, right? You marry her tomorrow.
Right.
She doesn't get a green card for 3 years, and she doesn't get citizenship for 2 years after that.
Is it 3 years from residency or 3 years from marriage?
I believe, and this has been a while since I looked at it, so in case I'm wrong, I do apologize. But I believe it's 3 years from marriage. And but that includes, I think that includes residency. So actually, residency might be part of it actually. Because my understanding is for that time to count, you guys have to be living together. Like it, like, or at the very least in the same city. But like I'm pretty sure you have to be living together, like in a domicile. So, though I don't know. Does it would matter if you're doing it internationally? Actually, I don't know. Could you live somewhere else and do that time with a That's actually a good question. I should ask my friend. I have a friend who's married to a woman. He lives in Japan and he's married to a woman. I'm curious if she has her her green card or
US
citizenship.
citizenship.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question.
And then the I was about to say there's things that matter and don't matter. Like there's probably some portion of people who are looking for who are specifically seeking US citizenship. And then there's probably a broader population that is just happy with permanent residency. Like their goal is like, I just want to be in the United States, benefit from the United States tax
Yeah,
credits.
yeah. There's some people
Like
want to do that.
if I don't vote, whatever,
So yeah, so maybe they can avoid certain taxes or avoid your responsibilities. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I'm saying that. If would we be okay with like that becoming like we understand we have like we obviously have flaws with our current citizenship process in the United States, absolutely. But let's imagine we didn't. Let's imagine we have some other rule process, but still rules. There's still some laws. It's not just walk in and you're granted citizenship. Will we be okay with just having an obvious loophole in place? And someone's like, oh yeah, like putting on Facebook Marketplace, apply for I'm a residency spouse, you marry
But
me.
it does exist. That is the loop. Like I don't want to say loophole. Sorry. Like loophole is a weird way of putting it because marriage is like if you're an adult, it is the path to citizenship for most individuals.
Sure, but you're saying that we shouldn't care. We shouldn't do any like there's a interview process for that. There's like paperwork to fill out. You're saying you're arguing that we shouldn't do any of those things, correct? Like if you're married, we shouldn't care about people's reasoning.
Oh, so you're moving away from immigration and talking about just in general and in terms of marriage?
I'm saying immigration, like even sticking to immigration,
okay,
like
sure.
There's like whenever you're like, if you can't just get married for a green card, like there's going to be an interview process where they, you can just say, you can argue how simple or difficult it is, but they're going to say like, oh, is this a legitimate marriage?
Okay. That's what you're asking. So I was confused. Okay. Right. So sure. Yes, there is that process for, like when you're applying for your green card or your citizenship, where you have to like do an interview, with, I guess, this immigration or the State Department, one of them, right? And you
have to like legitimize your marriage, like
advocate. My parents actually had to do that, even though they didn't marry a citizen. They married each other, right? But they still went through this process of like asking about their marriage. It's funny because I was actually talking to my mother about this just like a few weeks ago, like or maybe like 2 weeks ago or something, and she was like, "Yeah, my dad fucked up." Like he actually answered, he like got the dates wrong, and he like dropped the ball.
They probably was like, but it was like him getting it wrong was probably fine. They're like, he's a guy, like that makes sense. Like,
right.
We get married, like, what color her eyes? I was like, she's got 2 of them. I don't know what to tell you. Like, check, that's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, he actually fucked it up. So I think the only point of that interview should be about duress. I don't think it matters. So before you ask me, would it be a problem if there was some sort of professional marrier, right? So there's a 5-year window. Let's shorten that. Let's just say it's a year, right? A year, and you get the a citizenship. Skip the green card, you get citizenship. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. With that system that you acknowledged previously, that has all these deficiencies, that doesn't have like these open, easy paths for people to
No, I'm saying we make a perfect system, but like we make whatever we consider a perfect system exists now, but we still have rules for like the immigration process. Should that be a way to bypass all of that? Like should I don't know, Saddam Hussein be granted citizenship because he went through this bypass system?
I mean, yeah, actually, yeah. Well, it's the way Saddam Hussein would do it. Here's how he would do it, right? He would invest. I was just looking at this number actually, because for other reasons I was looking this up. He would invest is like 1.5 million or so dollars into the United States economy, and he would get a golden visa, right? Like he would get like he could get a visa, get a green card that way by simply investing money. That's how the rich people do it, right? So
that's the truth.
Yeah, you're saying there's a loophole, but I'm saying like these are just like the paths, right? It seems like there's a loophole or there's a scam or someone's taking advantage of it, right? Because it's not the way we imagine in our head that it should go. But people, like, let's say there's no exchange of money, right? And you marry a person, specifically you're trying to help this other person out, right? They're undocumented, and you like, hey, you're a buddy of mine, and you marry them. Is that a loophole? Is that a scam? Right? You're like, but you helped that person out. You didn't advertise it on Facebook, on the Facebook Marketplace that you said, right? But you did that. Is that a scam? Right? Is it a scam if like you sort of like each other, but like not really, right? Or you try to make it work at first, but then kind of falls apart, but you get married anyway, right? Because you still recognize that they need the help. Like,
Yeah.
at what point, like, do we get in people's heads and imagine, okay, there's enough love here, right? We've reached the love limit, and then now this is legitimate. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why even bother
I don't
trying
know.
to
I
figure
think
it
all of
out?
those are scams, but that doesn't mean
Really?
they're bad. But I'm just saying that, like, yeah, I'm just saying that when we say that, like, oh, it should be anything. People should be able to get married for whatever reason, like I don't know that it's not. I'm not even getting to like the sanctity of marriage. I just don't think if you have a rule with some level of intention, like, and someone can point out, oh, this is a way to avoid said rule. I think it's kind of like with taxes. Like, I'm sure you're good. I'm sure you're in favor of closing tax loopholes. Like, they're saying, like, oh, this is an obvious way people get around having to pay their taxes. Like, we should probably close this. And they say that's just the pathway. That's just the way the system works. And it's like, but no, we intend for people to pay taxes. People shouldn't be able to abuse a hole in whatever system you have.
Yeah, but like the so you say in the scenario you said you think, well, if we create a perfect system, right?
Mhm.
Then wouldn't you be upset about this that someone is marrying not for love? Again, how we judge that, amazing. I don't know, and we never bother to judge that for other marriages.
Well, I mean,
That's
well,
another
it
part of my
doesn't.
thesis is that we don't
Well, I
actually.
think we do.
No, we don't. No, I mean, like, in terms of like whether that marriage is legitimate and it's a scam, we don't
Oh, maybe
say
not.
that.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
about to say we
we
can for U.S. citizens too, but not maybe for legal purposes. Like, even for the U.S. citizens, and I thought this just in 3 seconds. You can tell me if it doesn't make sense. But I'm pretty sure there's zero tax liability for gifts involving your spouse. There's no any amount of money
Oh,
in the
that's
world
a
you
good
can give to your
question.
spouse is
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
like two business guys like, oh man, we need to make a deal. Let's get married right quick. I'm gonna give you this money tax free, and then we're divorced, and we walk off. And like if someone did that process endlessly, you would eventually say, wait a minute, we should probably marriage has to mean something. Like
I don't,
I
I
don't
don't think marriage has to mean anything. I don't think marriage has to mean a fucking thing other than
and
you're
why are we
getting within
giving
a contract. Between so I um okay. I think
you can say that marriage shouldn't exist, and you can do
no, I
that,
didn't
but
say
like
that marriage. I'm not saying
marriage
marriage
has
shouldn't exist.
marriage has like contractual I mean, marriage has like legal benefits to it. So
Yeah,
there should be qualifications for those legal benefits.
but the qualification. What is the qualification you're saying? Is that they should be in love? Is that the qualification you're saying?
No, they should be there. It should be for um relational partners. So
Relational partners.
two people who are in a romantic relationship who will share residency for the majority of the year.
In a romantic relationship. But how do you know if it's romantic? What counts as romantic?
I don't know. Like I said, I think you can. I think we can. Like you can have some process that maybe some people slip through, but I don't think you should say that like, oh, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't. It shouldn't be for. You don't have to be in a romantic
But this
relationship.
romantic part is important though, right? Like because that separates it from any other sort of partnership, right? Like, hey, Bam and I get along, right? Let's say Bam and I share an apartment, right? We're like, hey, we're gonna be roommates and stuff, right? We share an apartment and we get along with each other, and then but this separates us from getting those benefits, right? Even though we're living, let's say we live together for years, right? This separates us from another group. Why is that separation, right? If we decide, hey, we're going to enter this contract together, right? You and I, or you and a woman, please. Well then, what difference does it make if we decide to enter in with that? Now, I think I'm still trying to process my answer. Like what like a good response to the tax thing that you said, right? Because I think it's interesting. That's interesting to say. Like I want people. You're right. I do want people to pay their taxes and not be able to weasel the way out of them. And then to say that, well, if a person marries and like annuls immediately, like is there and while I know there's an exchange of goods that happens in the middle there, um
And
like
they say like, yeah, I'm doing this. I just do this for taxes. Like I'm openly, outwardly, like
well,
yeah.
people do say that about marriage also, right? Like, hey,
Sure,
we'll get
but
married for tax purposes. We do that all the time.
but like I said, I think that there's like I said, I think that if something comes up get fishy or whatever, I do think we should have some categorical like, oh, okay, or like we should be able to look into like, okay, are you in having some type of
So,
yeah,
did you fuck
romantic
enough?
relationship?
So how do we judge that? Have you two fucked enough? Like, how many times does this person put
You
their penis inside of you?
Do you feel like it?
Does
I'm
that
about to say,
matter?
it doesn't even have to be. It doesn't even have to be sex. It would be like, you there.
Do you hug enough?
I mean, kind of. That can be a question. It can be like on a scale of 1 to 100. You take it as, okay. Do you feel like
That's
you're? Do you feel
ridiculous.
like do you feel like you're romantically in love with this person? Yes or no? Do you? And people can be
Okay,
dishonest, and that's fine. And you get to the
okay,
end of the
yeah,
process.
sure. Then if all you want is a question on a form where you say, hey, are you romantic with each other? And I get to check the box, right? And there's absolutely no way for you to tell otherwise. Rather than, okay, I'll check your box. That if that means so much to you. But I don't think it's worthwhile. We can't actually judge this. There's no way to
There's no way of
judge their
doing a lot of
feelings.
things, but we like exist in a society with good faith.
But I
Like
don't.
we make laws for
I
places that like there's no police officers at. Like,
well,
but
okay, hold on. But hold on. I'm only checking this box because you seem to want me to check this box, right?
correct. Yeah, I do.
On the
I think
other
it's
side,
valuable.
I don't think marriage is a contract that has to be dealt with love. Like the idea that marriage is for love is a brand new concept in human history, right? Before it was as exchange of like wealth, right?
Well,
To
I'm about to say
and
it ended wars because but it still required it required well yeah there was an expectation. I'm going to say required. There was an expectation of romantic partnership. There
no,
should be a child
no,
to
there
come out of this.
wasn't. No,
Yes,
there
there is.
wasn't.
I'm about
No,
to say because there's
previously for lots of people, no. For most of humanity, no.
no, for
That
most of humanity, you're completely wrong. There's an expectation when two families come together and like we're gonna marry these people together. The reason, like maybe we're trying to share our assets or resources, or maybe our families have had trauma in the past, or like have been near wars, and we need to come to a way to end this. And the way that we end this is by having a shared bloodline. There should be an heir. There should be a child that comes from this marriage.
sorry, hon. I'm trying to phrase this correctly because maybe I'm not doing so. I'm saying that that was not the primary purpose, right? So even what you just named there, right? Okay, healing our families, right? Like that's the way of doing that. But that doesn't mean that these two individuals engaging in the contract have to like each other, right? It's that like, hey, we understand that this union has ancillary benefits to wider society, right? Or to our social circle being these two families,
I'm
right?
saying that in that situation they still end up having sex. If that union
So
doesn't end with a child.
then sex doesn't mean that you love a person. I can assure
But
you.
again, but I'm saying, that's why I said it wasn't one question. I said you have a questionnaire of a number of things. Do you sleep in the same bed? Do
We
you live in the
don't.
same household?
We don't.
Do you have sex?
We
I
don't.
was like, and if you do none of those things, then I don't think you should be able to legally be
Hold
married.
on,
I
hold
think
on.
that person
So
who's
I
married
don't.
is
So I
illegitimate.
don't have sex with this person because I'm asexual, right? Like our friend
hmm
Lilo Alakai, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, right?
Yeah,
He's asexual. So I he
sure. That would
doesn't
be
get
one
down.
question. But if
Sure,
you
great.
don't, mhm.
Yeah, we don't live with each other because I travel a lot, right? And
hmm
so maybe that's my a resident, right? But like I'm hardly ever there because I'm
Okay,
traveling all the time
but is
making
it your
money.
residence? That's what I'm saying. Like
Oh, okay. So so just share the residence. Okay, well we
yes,
can
like
do
is
that. But
this your
I've never,
primary home?
but I'm never there with this individual,
I
right?
think you have to
So
prove that this is where your mail has to be going. That you have to have regular
oh yeah,
contact with
but
the person.
they can send me my mail, right? They can
Sure,
send me my mail.
Prime, you're doing something. You're saying that I can create a loophole for these things. That's not the point. I'm saying that they should exist. There should be that marriage should mean
I'm saying
something.
that. Oh, I'm saying
because you're arguing that it doesn't. You're
I'm
saying that it
saying-
shouldn't, and I'm saying you have to justify it. It should.
no, I don't have to justify. I don't have
Oh
to
well, I'm
justify
sorry.
that it
Well, I've
shouldn't
already
exist.
justified mine. Then I'm correct.
I don't think you have justified yours.
have.
That's my problem. I don't think you have. Right? I don't think
because that's what marriage is for.
No, it's no.
There's
It's what
benefits
marriage is
from
for
it.
in your head. And
No, it's for
in
what it
your
means for all of
mind-
history.
No, it's not.
You literally point to every point in human history, and you even agreed. Sure, people had kids. Sure, it healed families. Sure, it did all of the things that were required of marriage. Yes, that's what marriage does. It's combining family.
No. But like, oh, sorry. We're talking past each other. But I'm saying that like, love was what I was talking about specifically. All those other things you talked about, yes, that's true, right?
And those
I'm talking
also
about
things are
specifically
aspects
for
of
love.
marriage. Yeah, I
Love
think
was
marriage
never
includes those
love.
aspects.
Okay, so we're gonna have to disagree about like the very simplistic view of marriage that people have known. There's plenty of literature documenting
Sure,
this,
but
right?
it's not like we shake hands and we make business deals and we never talk again. That's not what marriage means. It means something.
But like, so
Never meant that.
So
in
you
human
put
history,
so
you're
okay.
advocating for.
So all right, you started this conversation saying, "Hey, I think that
You're
you
wrong.
would agree." Oh no, that's not what you said. You said you would agree that there's plenty of ways in which we think that marriage should matter, basically, or that like
it should have some categorical definition.
yeah. And I disagree.
Mhm.
I disagree with that. I disagree completely. So this is what what I'm trying to respond to. That like you can get married, right, for love or for money or for land or for to heal the wounds of your families or for anything else,
or
right?
to make a tax deal,
or to yes to do that.
money.
Absolutely,
Make a
yes.
business
But if
deal.
you
like
if
Donald
you
Trump
so
married Elon
if you
Musk.
okay, here then here's the my concession towards you, right? If you are a continuous abuser of I'm sorry, I wouldn't use not even abuse because abuse would imply that like I'm moralizing it. I'm not moralizing it. If you continuously use it to get past some sort of monetary obligation, right, to larger society, then I think you're damaging society, right, by not paying taxes that are owed to the government, right? Then if you're doing that, right, just like I would close other loopholes, I would do that as well. So let's say you get married and annulled, right, specifically to exchange goods without making it a taxable event, right? Then I would say that that's a problem. Right, only because it damages the rest of society, but not because I give a fuck about like the sanctity of marriage. I don't give a shit about any of that. I don't think
you don't have to
anyone
do with
actually
marriage,
really
but
does.
you can't make that rule without marriage having some categorical definition.
Yeah, it does. No, I agree. It has a definition. The definition is there are two individuals who agree to enter into a marital contract. That's
Sure, but that's not your exception. You couldn't cut off whatever exception you just did. Without that, there has to be more than that.
No. I'm saying that no, that doesn't.
Okay.
I've already given the exception to that. I'm saying, hey, like if
But you're saying why is
using-
it? How do you define this? How is it accepted when it fits perfectly within the definition you just gave?
Because I'm
There's
saying that
some
you're
people-
repeatedly you're using it to dodge a societal obligation. Repeatedly. I didn't say just once. You can do it once, right? So if you want to, hey, I'm gonna marry this individual of man, woman, whatever, right? I'm gonna marry this other individual specifically for tax purposes, which people do all the time. They admit to doing that all the time, right? That's fine, right? If we see a pattern of you doing this, then if we can establish a pattern, yeah, sure, a pattern, then go ahead. Then maybe we can look at some sort of legal ramifications for that. Sure.
So we're making a rule. So is there like are you
Yeah, why not?
Some arbitrary number of marriages you can have?
An arbitrary number of marriages you can have.
Because you can't. You're saying that there's nothing wrong with getting married to have a tax to avoid paying taxes. You're saying that's completely legitimate and fine.
If you, yeah,
but you're
sure.
saying but you think it's illegal to keep getting married to avoid taxes and fine. Like
because
that doesn't make sense.
Because so I hear what you're saying. I'm saying that we can't judge any individual marriage for that because people do that all the time. And like, who am I to say that you cannot, right? Um, I think that's different from doing using it as a path to. I'm not sure exactly how I want to say this. Um, uh, I think it's only a problem when there is a um serial instances of abuse. Again, abuse is not the word I want to use here, but I'm gonna use the word abuse, but it's not the word I want to use here because I'm
I
not.
understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got your point.
Serial use of abuse of the tax code, meaning that right, like for every individual deal you're doing, you you get married and then you get it annulled. I'm actually curious if like there is actually a time limit. Like you have to like be married for a year to make sure it's like a non-taxable event or something. I'm curious if that's a buffer in there. And I'm not sure if this is. Mm. Um, or actually, this actually maybe I don't even have to bother this. That actually might not be the case because I've been like thinking something in the back of my mind, right, about annulment, right? Because how would this work? You have to get you marry each other and then you get divorced, right, or annulled, right? Like it just because of divorce or annulment. Well, you would get the annulment, and the judge has to like sign off on the annulment, right? But if the judge notices that, hey, you've got like four other marriages to like random individuals, like what is this? Like if a judge can simply catch that, like, hey, wait a minute, there's something going on here. Well, then we can take care of it
I
in
mean, you can say
that way. And then
because
maybe I
there's
don't even
rules.
have to even deal with it at all, right? Like, hey, like you're. It seems like uh uh this is using marriage for tax dodging purposes, right? Um
Yeah, I'm doing
uh
using it for business deals. They say it out loud because you said that was a legitimate reason. You
it
said
is it is a legitimate
so that's so
reason.
they can tell the judge and
It
now
is a
sign my
legitimate
annulment.
reason. 100% a legitimate reason. But that doesn't mean, again, I'm saying that like if you're using it, and maybe I have to put more thought into exactly how to express
Mhm.
this because I see what you're trying to say. Um, but uh, like it's only a
Like, yeah, I
problem
don't
if,
think you can put a limit on the amount of times you can do something you consider legitimate.
of course we can, of course we can. Why
What's
wouldn't we be able to do
another
that?
example? What's
Um,
an example of that? There's something that's like, oh yeah, this is legal and legitimate, but you can only do it once.
well, I'd say once. Um, it's a legal and legitimate.
Like
Like
you
you
can
can.
speed, but once, but or speed
No,
three
no, no, no,
times.
no. Like, I'm not a tax expert. But like, uh, it's like you could, say that. Well, you get a tax loophole, right? Um, for a one-time business expense, right? Within this organization, you can use this one-time business expense, um, or 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 one-time loophole to avoid taxes here. You could say that
Mhm.
like, hey, you wouldn't um invested into like a charity, right? Let's say like, hey, okay, so organization A like gives money to organization B, right? Organization B is a
Mhm.
charity, and you're saying, okay, there's one time in which this you're donating to this charity will give you some sort of tax benefit, right? But you can't do it multiple times. Um
I think that's fine, but that goes back to me saying you're going to have to place some arbitrary limit on it. You're going to have to invent a number for it
well,
because I don't think it's like you know what this feels like it's like if something you consider legitimate if you don't have any rules around it except for like when a
okay,
judge feels
okay,
like it.
so
I
then
feel
you
like
want to put a limit. Okay, then we can put a limit. We could say we could do it three times, right? Yes, three
yeah,
times. Beyond that,
three.
then yes, you're gonna have it'll be when exchanging of goods or gifts, right? Those would be taxable events. Sure. Okay, three times. Whatever. I'm fine with that. Like I don't care
Yeah.
if you want to abuse the system and we find people are abusing the system, then yeah, why not? We could just get rid of the. That's a good way of solving this. Thank you. We'll just
Mhm.
get rid of that rule. At three times, you can get married. You can still do the marriage thing, the serial marriage thing if you want. But past that, now it's all taxable events.
Hmm. And would you apply? So, but taxes is something that bothers you. What if somebody has bothered with people abusing our immigration system?
Yeah,
Would
I
you say
disagree
that
with them.
that would?
And I would say that then the best way to avoid that, right, is to have many more pathways to citizenship, broad pathways to citizenship, right? So like I have friends who have started businesses in America, right? Like, hey, I'm starting this business. I'm trying to get this up and running. I'm trying to um contribute to our economy, right?
Mhm.
And so like don't get in my way. I want to do that, right? So like allow me to get some sort of documentation, and this does not have to be citizenship immediately, right? But I'm saying that like because that wouldn't work if you just like start a business, you get citizenship. That doesn't make any sense. But I'm saying that like if you start a business, right, maybe and you keep that business going for a year or something. I don't know. We could come up with rules, and then you get some sort of documentation, right, that keeps you from being tossed out. That would be great. Like there's all kinds of ways. I'm open to many ideas. That's the way to doing it
Me
rather.
too, but
Go ahead.
there's a. I was say I don't mind immigration. I actually think immigration is positive for the economy, but I I think dealing with the I guess we all like sometimes we make arguments and I think I blame conservatives because they don't want to say the quiet part out
You should
loud
always
for what
blame
they want.
conservatives. Indeed, yeah.
Um, but the conservative perspective isn't that like, oh, like we should, shore up the pathways to allow people to be processed quicker. But that's not, they don't want more legitimate legal immigrants. They want less immigrants. Period. They don't want like better pathways. They
Yeah.
want less
But
people coming here.
then I have to defeat them politically. Yeah, I know.
Mhm. Yeah. So I think I think that would be the issue that 50 or 49.9% of
Well,
the
yeah. Oh, that's a broader question as to like, hey, can you convince like Americans of this? I'm just stating that like I don't think we should call it a scam because people are exchanging money for marriage. Because people do it
Mhm.
all the time, right? Citizens do that all the time. Money for marriage, like it's a very basic thing that people do. But those marriages are still acknowledged as legitimate. They may be looked down upon, right? We may think less of them morally for this. I don't, but like people do, and sure, but still, at the very least, those things we can understand as a legitimate marriage that gets all the benefits that any other marriage does. So I'm actually
Yeah, I
curious
also
about.
feel that way.
Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, not. I mean, I just think I still stand by. Like, yeah, I don't think it should be that way. Like, I'm okay with like those marriages still existing at the end of it, but like I think there should be. I think I'm fine with there being a a definition of marriage that involves something about two people sharing a romantic relationship and most likely residency, um, and all the other things that we consider. And I think that you should be able to fail. It should probably be a low bar, but I think you should be able to fail that bar.
Um, I'm curious what Assy has to say. I imagine Assy,
Good Christian
knowing
man.
our good friend, is going to agree with you wholeheartedly. Maybe even more forcefully, actually. But yeah, I'm curious what you have to say, Assy.
I didn't catch the full context of what we're talking about, but if you're
Did you want
talking
me to
about
explain that?
people, yeah, real quick.
Yeah, sure, no problem, friend. So we were I was looking at an article about a missing woman who's tragically it's a whole thing, right? Anyway, so far we don't know if she's dead or not, but her parents had found some documentation that and from her last messages that they've received, they found documentation that seems to imply that she was trying to get married to some Argentinian man, and that might have been for immigration purposes, and then also maybe there might be some indication that some sort of scam was happening, right? And in the article they call it a marriage scam, right, for immigration marriage scam, and I took issue with that, right, without reading the rest of the article, but I took issue with that and saying that um uh it doesn't matter why they got married, right? Comparing that the exchange of money for the purposes of getting married to any other relationship that involves money or doesn't involve money. That like we can't like looking into these relationships is kind of pointless. If people want to enter the marriage contract with all the responsibilities that entails, right? Then it is what it is.
Yeah, basically, do you believe there's any? It's a weird. I mean, will make most sense to you. I don't know if it's the right word, but any sanctity to marriage. Does marriage mean something?
Yeah, like beyond like yeah, can it be just an exchange of like goods or services, right? Like for the marriage. Like is that fine or does it have to be for love or whatever you think?
If you're going legally, then yeah, it's fine to get married for exchange of goods and services, right? Kings took many wives, you can call them concubines, right, to have multiple heirs, and they would do that for political reasons. Families, farmers would give like daughters who are unwanted away to young sons or sons who haven't been married yet for and then there'd be exchange of goods and services if it provides like some type of shelter family and protection for you know each individual, then yeah, it's fine. But if you're talking about the sanctity of marriage, then you're talking from a moral, spiritual
Sorry, we can hear you
position.
tapping on whatever you're tapping.
Oh, whew, this might work it. Whew. But
It's working good. We can hear you very well.
yeah,
Sometimes we can't hear you with your mics, but this is a very good one.
yeah, thank you. Money's well spent.
Hmm.
Yeah, then the latter would be a spiritual moral position, which is both fine. It depends on what context. But if you're talking about the context of the law, you're talking about tax codes, you're talking legal.
Mm.
Do you
So
think
Then
they're good?
that's
It's good for society. Like, do you think that like just going by like, oh, this legal exchange? Do you think that that creates the best society?
does it create the best society?
That freedom, I guess.
It creates a more equitable society because not everybody is gonna. You're not to get the perfect society will require everybody to live strictly according to the same morality and spirituality, right?
mm,
Or within that margin of error. Everybody doesn't in America, we have freedom of religion, freedom of choice, right? We have multiple, we have like a huge spectrum of politics, and we all live together. So both should be fine within that context. To move towards a more and that is the optimal scenario, because in any other country you find that if they try to do either or, that people become very unhappy and very dissatisfied, even though like on surface level everything looks great, right? um
We
so
still have
yeah,
legal partnerships.
both you need to have a silver lining between both, right? And the constant ebb and flow of it in order to have the most equitable society.
I think that like don't get me wrong, I'm obviously super pro gay marriage and individual freedoms and all those things. But like the people who who have made the arguments against gay marriage, um, I don't know. I guess one of the quote unquote
You
legitimate
said gay
arguments they want to
marriage?
make. Yeah, it's just an example to bring up the concept. They say that like oh well, gay people need the right to the tax benefits or whatever is quote unquote, and some people make the argument, oh, we have legal partnerships in the United States that grant you that, but marriage to they say it's a Christian something else. Like I said, I don't buy into that part, but I do agree that we do have other partnerships for other types of relationships. And again, I don't think that like your sexuality should be a differentiator in that type of relationship. But I do think that there should be other type of relationships where it's like, oh no, that's
Well,
not
yeah, in certain
we're doing
states, if you live together long enough, you're considered legally married,
common law.
right? If you
Yeah.
if you cohabitate for a long period of time, you've shared resources and finances, maybe even bank accounts, right? Some people are like, oh, we're just gonna do what's best to try to take advantage of the legal code within our state. Then yeah, sometimes you can consider married in that aspect. So like to try to argue this, there's yeah, I think that it's complicated and that yeah, you should be able to take advantage of the laws that are in the tax codes that are at play at the time, right? While they're there, right? And you should live in the most optimal fashion possible, right?
Mm.
For human flourishing. If you believe, and in certain places it is more optimal to marry for love, in certain places more optimal to marry, for resources.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up common law. I actually like some people don't like it. I actually I'm super in favor of the concept of common law. I think there's people who don't go to courthouses, like, for whatever reason they be. But like when you have a couple who's lived together, I think Texas, for example, I think has common law. I think it's 3 years. Like they've cohabitated for 3 years. They've like clearly their finances, their livelihoods are together. It would, if one of them goes to the like goes to the emergency room, for example. I think it makes sense that like the other person should be able to, I don't know, go back to the waiting room with them, or go back to the room with, like, we should grant those people those benefits, because those are the things that I feel like we're talking about when we discuss the
I
concept of
think
marriage.
you should be eligible for the benefits and not liable for the consequences because you're not actually married, right? Common law is mainly to protect individuals and give them access to things that married individuals or more privileged classes would have access to. So,
Mhm.
like for instance, if I'm living with my bro and common law all of a sudden says we're married, I'm gonna be like, and then bro just tries to say, "Oh no, Ninja is tripping," and he tries to take half of my stuff. I'm gonna be like, no, I shouldn't be liable to that at all. Like,
Baby, you're married,
I
bro.
was just trying to survive. You know what I mean? Splitting the
That's,
energy bill
do
was
you
good
have to
at the
divorce
time.
from common law marriage? I don't know if that's a thing. I do think you get the benefits, but I don't know if people have to like have like legal divorces from common law.
No,
Yeah.
if you remember, XUC's girlfriend was trying to pull something like it. It was like big for a long
Oh, she
time.
was trying to do that. I do remember that.
It was something big on Twitch. Uh, I forgot her name, but she was trying to like sue and
For
like
his
sue,
assets. Yeah, that is
yeah,
the thing.
and say they were legally married.
Um.
I don't think she won. Matter of
So
fact, I don't believe she won at all. But yeah, like I believe when you're together, you should be eligible for the benefits of it, right? Under common law, and you shouldn't be liable to the consequences.
I
Like for instance, like no fault divorce.
I want to go back to Bam's assertions before, right? About like, hey, we need to discount for also romantic uh like so I'm sorry, marriages between citizens that they also have to fulfill some sort of test. They have to affirm a level of love to the state, right? That we have a certain amount of affinity for each other
Hmm.
that before they get married.
Yeah, I think that's currently a process.
What is the process? How do we do that?
Oh wait, are you talking about for not U.S. citizens or non-U.S.
For
citizens?
U.S. citizens, like
Oh,
yeah,
2 U.S. citizens.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I have no idea. I think it depends on where you're at. Some play it like some, or I think it even depends on the county you're in. Some counties you just sign your marriage license. Like if you both sign, you're good. And then others
Does the
you
marriage
like.
license say that like we have a certain level of affinity for each other, that we love each other, or whatever the language might be?
Like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's going to depend on the county. Some counties don't, and there's
Well, I'm
other
asking you
places that do have requirements.
if it should be the case. Like, should two citizens
Yeah,
Yes. Okay. Then how would we do? What would the process be for that?
Because I'm saying it currently exists. That's what the second part of it.
Okay.
I'm saying that some counties don't do that, but there's
But
other counties where they have processes that you're about to ask me about that I'm trying to tell you.
no. But like okay because you were okay. I followed the conversation previously, but your answers are confusing me. But maybe okay. Finish up. Maybe there's something I'm missing here.
Yeah, I'm saying because you're asking your question, and maybe I'm misunderstanding your question. You said, do United States citizens like have to prove like show some level of interest, romantic interest, whatever, to be married? And
You
I
said
said, well, it's
affinity.
going to depend on in some affinity. And I said, well, it's going to depend where you're at. In some counties, no. In some places, you walk up to the courthouse, you both sign a certificate for marriage, and you're fine. In other places, they like even the judge will stand in front of you, and they'll still do you take this person to be your lawfully wedded wife, like, and that's like a part of the legal process.
Yeah, but you can give them well
You can lie.
Hold on, lawfully wedded
Richer
wife.
for poor, sicker. Like I'm
And
saying,
hold on, but that's not standard. That's not actually in itself the
It's-
contract.
it's legal.
Because you can ask them to give another thing, right? A speech. You can just hey pastor or whatever, right? Read this instead, and it doesn't include love or anything. But then that marriage is still just as valid as any other, right? Like
I don't know if that's true. I know.
yeah,
I
of
know
course,
there's places
people
that legally
do their own vows all the time, right? You can do exactly that. You don't if the past or sorry whoever is officiating the wedding,
Mhm.
if they don't say to have and to hold for
No, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about a wedding. I'm talking about at the courthouse.
But then you brought up you take this person to be your lawfully wedded wife,
Yes,
right? So
I'm saying the judge will say.
yeah,
these
the
things.
official.
That's
Yeah,
what
so I'm saying whoever's officiating. So I said pastor.
Oh, I thought you were.
said
I thought
pastor.
you were saying that like, oh, this is a wedding. Like, hey, judge, we're giving you this sheet. Say these things. We want to do our vows. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that this is a legal requirement. But like,
But
there could
no,
be
yeah,
20
I-
couples in there.
I hear you. It still counts. What I'm saying still counts. You can have the judge read you out whatever you want them to. Here, judge, read this. Like they're
I don't know if that's the case.
officiating the marriage, right? No, you think that when you go to a courthouse for a marriage, right? Then you get they're not allowed to deviate from a script that like. And then
That- 'cause-
why would that
because
why would that
certain
even make
places-
sense? Because if you have gotten married in the church, you could deviate from the script. You know you can. So why wouldn't
Yeah.
a judge be able to do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Because they're doing like I'm about to say in some places they're doing like 15 marriages at the same time.
So whatever I give you a sheet of paper, this is what you're gonna read.
No, but I'm saying that like this is for all of these people. I don't know.
Oh, you mean
that-
a mass marriage? Like no one's talking about a mass marriage, right? And when you go to a courthouse, you can get an individual marriage.
Sure, but I'm saying courthouses do mass marriages. Where,
No,
like,
no, that's not standard. You just do individual marriages. They don't do mass marriages automatically. What are you talking about?
they do those, not automatically, but I'm saying there's places where you do. You're
And
saying that
certain-
you can.
for
I'm like,
certain
I don't know if
special
it's going to
occasions-
play where you're at.
For certain special occasions, yes, there are mass marriages that are done, right? We've seen that, right? Like for instance, like I think when gay marriage was like first like made available, right? Like like on that day that like that became legal, they had a bunch of people who like got mass marriage together, like and there was one person officiating it, and then it counts for all of them. Yes, that's the thing that happens, but standardly, when you go to a courthouse, you can get an individual marriage.
Look, this is why I keep saying it's going to vary from county to county, from like on the rules. Because like I said, some places you don't have to do that at all. Some places you can just go sign a paper and like no one has to check off anything.
But you're saying
there
that
are places.
you're saying that the judge involved means that it's that this is a process that means that you are affirming your affinity for one another. I'm saying that's not actually the case.
I have to ask you to affirm some.
But you don't have
basic
to.
level of-
I'm saying that's not enough. I'm saying that's the thing that we say, right? Those are words that we say, but that's not actually like some sort of legally actionable affirmation, right? That's not actually a test. I'm not saying a contract. Hey, do you love this person? You're saying that like they go through this process. They say these words. Let's say that they that's true. That they can't deviate from like the standard script that people think about, right? For the marriage, right? I'm saying that if you took that to court, that like that doesn't mean that you have to have a certain level of affinity, right? That no one can come and judge your level of affinity. That's not actually what that's saying. That's just a thing. That's just a traditional words we attach to the ceremony, but not a legally actionable
Are you
section of
talking
a
about
contract.
before the officiation or a process after?
Well, everyone doesn't do actual weddings, like I said. So yeah, I guess this would be during the officiation, like a judge doing an officiation
And you have
to
to
legal.
prove that you guys are like for each other in
Well,
some
you
manner
have to prove
during
in
the
some
officiation.
manner. Like you're saying, like this isn't a legal thing. This is like we're combining, like our household. We're doing something like we like each other.
It would make more sense to do that after the officiation, and then you have some proof of affinity. It's like
I
when
mean,
like you're at the border. I think Guy and IRI and Ben Shapiro are talking about it. For example, in order to prove that the sponsor is actually proper, they have to come back in a certain amount of time and talk about the person who has just been who just immigrated in is like living a certain lifestyle with the sponsor. Like it should happen after. To bring that back to this, it should be after the officiation process.
maybe, but I
To
was gonna say,
know
like
that the marriage is fruitful in some way.
even legally, like you can, like you don't even have to go through the divorce process. You can get married, go to Vegas, have a crazy night, get married, and you can go to a judge and have them like mark the marriage as illegitimate. Like, oh yeah, wow, I
Yeah, you
was
can.
super
So
excited. Like, it's not like, oh, you have to go through a legal divorce now. The judge can say that, like, oh yeah, based on whatever standard or circumstance, this marriage actually wasn't legitimate to begin with, so it didn't
okay,
exist.
yeah. So what's the contention? The contention is you shouldn't have to prove affinity at that process. Is that
No,
what
I'm
Prime?
saying that I think
Prime?
that like for that process to exist, there has to be some infinity to begin with. Like to say
Can
that
you
like
can you
if
give
because
me an
for a
example?
judge to be able
Can you give the
for a judge,
example of where that happens? I'm interested in hearing that. Where do you find that happen?
I'm pretty sure I'm like, well, and this is okay. Actually, this is me making this up. Well, I'm not making this up, but this is an assumption based on like
You don't
hearsay.
got to
But
assume.
well,
I thought you knew.
I'm saying that I think it's Vegas has
If
some
you
of the
got to
most
assume, then
marriages in the year. I think that's like a thing that's legally true. Like I think that's literally true. We can look up that like tons of people get married in Vegas, and there's like
yeah,
an
we know.
understanding that a lot of those marriages like aren't actually marriage. Maybe someone was drunk, which is a reason to consider like you like mess with consent, or even if people aren't drunk, like they can come back to a judge and the judge can make a legal determination that this marriage act like the standards for this marriage were
They can
illegitimate.
annul the marriage because of
Sure.
what happened.
So I'm saying, so if you have the ability to annul it, if you have that legal power, then that means that marriage legally has some definition that they're saying this doesn't cross the threshold of.
I'm looking at like the traditional vows. I just looked it up, right?
Mhm.
So, I Prime take thee, Bam, to be my wedded husband, right? To have it to hold from this day forward. No, I'm actually gonna say this is gonna seem weird. But anyway, the point is that like it says to have it to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, right? For richer or for
Richard for
poor.
poor.
So let's look at that. For better or for worse, right? Well, people do break up when things are worse, right? However, worse is very ambiguous here, right? So
Mhm.
for like worse can be um uh worse can be anything, right? Worse is actually the most vague thing here, right? So what does worse mean? But like things can be worse from whatever the status quo is at this very moment later on.
Mhm.
For richer for poor, right? Well, people, it's also legitimate to
Money is one of the
divorce a
biggest reasons
person
for divorce.
when they have economic woes, right? Like this has put stress on the marriage, and so they break up. And then in sickness and in health, people break up. It's super fucking scummy, but yes, sickness can be a reason why a person breaks up for another. Like I mean, we saw like what was it Newt Gingrich, I think it was, who was cheating on his wife while she was like dying from cancer. It was crazy. It was one of those politicians. I believe it was Newt Gingrich.
I mean, all of the, yeah, I understand
uh,
what you're trying to say. Nothing is like there's you can get divorced whenever. Like
yeah, and so death
there's
do
we
us
have what's called
part, right?
divorce,
That doesn't mean anything either now either, right?
but
So
It's not speaking to you can't get divorced later. It's speaking to the intention at the time of marriage. Like, is this what you think at this moment? Like,
Okay.
even if that changes in the future,
It's
speaking
speaking
to
to
what you feel now.
I see.
it's speaking to the Christian I would say precept of if your husband or wife was still alive and you separate and you get remarried to somebody else, that still counts as like adultery. So you have to wait till somebody dies before you get remarried.
Oh, you mean bigamy? Right? If you remarry someone, you mean like
Like
that's
if you remarry while that person is still alive and you guys haven't actually
Then
had
you're
some
like breaking
yeah,
your
that's
contract.
bigamy. Bigamy
You
is
said what?
Bigamy.
Bigamy?
Bigamy.
I don't know that word, but I believe it.
I'm not
Yeah.
familiar. What's that?
The criminal offense of marrying one person while still legally married to another. Bigamy. That's the term. Just so you know. It's just we don't have to focus on it. It's just that's the term with that. It's
Yeah,
not adult.
I guess.
Wait, like this isn't about legal necessarily.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So yeah, that also is like a legitimate reason to say till death do us part, because
Yeah.
somebody might commit bigamy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm just saying they wouldn't charge you with adultery or anything. I'm not sure adultery is a charge. But like bigamy is the
there's
charge that they would have. Yeah, just like
There's no
yeah.
You know how many people would be in jail?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and yeah. I'm what fuck. Holy shit, yeah, right. But bigamy is a crime, and that's what would be charging you for. Yeah.
But I think he's just talking about like what Azzy was saying is like a relationship with God. Like there is no divorce, like outside of like
okay.
a few things under the law, if in the Christian.
No, there's like okay, so sickness and health, all right, from better or worse. Like there are certain things like so if you marry for love, there are certain things that you're supposed to be doing as the wife and the husband, right? Like the husband is supposed to be listening, guiding, loving, protecting, and providing. The wife is supposed to be helping, providing, protecting for the household, and like helping out when the husband can't, right? And if you do anything in foul play to break any of those roles, then yeah, those would be considered reasons for an annulment of the marriage, right?
So now you're talking
You agree?
legally, though, right? If you're talking legally, then I disagree with you. I mean, if you're talking about in your imagined like
So foul play.
optimal Christian view of these things, then sure, fine, right? But if you're talking about legally, then the husband doesn't have to guide, right? He doesn't have to protect, he doesn't have to love, he doesn't have to do any of those things, right? He doesn't have to do any of that.
Sure,
Well,
we're getting past each other. As he was addressing when you were reading through the vows, and you saying like you were talking about the vows, like he was saying the biblical reason why we do vows.
Those
Like,
vows aren't legal in origin.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So,
Because you said annulment, and that's like a legal process, and so that's why I was thinking.
So that's why I added
legally.
foul play. So there we have some type of action that breaks the marriage legally to legally get the divorce, legally annul the for instance, foul play, right? The husband does not allow the husband when forming the contract with the wife does not allow the wife to know all the terms of the marriage contract, right? So then when she figures out during on like, oh, I'm supposed to have 20 kids with you during our marriage, otherwise you're not going to provide or take care of me, and then that would be a reason to annul the marriage, right? Some type of lying or foul play, right? Oh, I'm a 6-figure earner, but because you didn't provide me 20 kids, I don't have to provide for you. You don't get any of my I can withhold all my funds, right, from the marriage until you have those kids with me, right? In fact, if you think about marriage before like vows, if you were like a concubine, or maybe you have one of those marriages where there's two people supposed to give kids, or have kids, if they don't have kids, then they would consider that marriage terminated, and that person, those two parties would go back to their original, situations. Like the girl will go back to her family to get remarried to somebody else. So that's that. Those are that situations, and those are like legitimate. So if you're not like if you're not trying to provide, if you're not trying to protect, if you're not trying to help, right? If you really are like,
So it's
I
just
can find any type of legal situation for it.
I just we got kind of lost in this, but like I just wanted to really nail down our friend Bam and how we actually just does this, right? So like I think we kind of dispensed with this idea that the traditional vows actually mean anything, right? Um uh so so that if there's not an attestation of affinity, like how and again, one, I don't think we actually do that. So I don't think we have any proof that we actually do that. But two, how would we
How could you
just
get
what
the marriage
benefits to
annulled?
society does it make for
Oh, what benefits of attaching some value to marriage? I
yeah,
think
sure.
there's um I think there's tons of I feel like I'm about to sound like fanatic, but I think it is beneficial for family creation. I think it's beneficial for people financially. I think it's beneficial. Let's see.
Why are you struggling? This is a piece. I
Well,
don't know.
I'm not saying I think it's beneficial to people's mental health space. I think married people commit less crime. Like I don't know. I think
Married
Hmm.
marriage.
people who love each other tend to have less trauma, have less
Ooh,
reason to like break any laws, are often foundational to building a healthy, happy community.
How do
And then
we
healthy, happy communities tend to
how do we
participate
know they
and
love each other? How do
create
we
more
know they
wealth.
love each other? And like, if you're saying that, I'm just gonna accept it at face
How do you
value.
know?
That like having married individuals like have these benefits. Okay, right? But like, why would being romantically involved mean that you couldn't not being romantically involved mean that you don't also have all those same benefits as well?
Because at any time it's a higher risk. At any time that person could change and then decide to break up the relationship, break up the financial position of the household, right? Decides to take their part and move on to a new situation, which ultimately
You don't even
causes
have to have
both
a household in
social.
Prime thing.
It doesn't
In
even
his
have to be a
world, it's just
household.
a
It could affect
contract.
the community. It could affect the
Yeah.
image of the community. It could affect the community at large. Like this person is like affecting a pillar of the community by taking part of of those resources and moving to a new location. It's like it's the epitome of Pan-Africanism and what Dr. Umar talks about and a bunch of Pan-Africans talk
oh
about. Where it's like
no. Oh
when you
He's right
no.
twice a day. Dr. Miles a broken clock. He's not always wrong.
Yeah,
No.
but that's what could happen. There's a high risk of somebody taking resources and moving to a new location to help benefit a opposing party or themselves entirely and at the expense of the community at large. It's like
And I
somebody
think you
running
can
to Cuba after stealing billions from Bank of America.
even step back. Like, let's step back and say that. Do you believe that before you even say marriage, do you believe that society benefits from promoting uh relationships? Like finding, like it's good to have someone to share life with. It's good to, find someone you love or someone you think you care about, and you know, I don't know, form a family or don't
Or
form a family, whatever. Just have
think
someone to
about
do life with.
juxtapose
Do you
it to
think
the
that there's value in crime?
opposite. How would society look if nobody was in it for the value of romanticism, right? If nobody was in it for love, right? If everybody was in it just for resources and self preservation.
There's a lot of people in the world who do that.
And how does
That's fine,
society look?
but I think our society should
And
incentivize.
society has been fine. look at like India. Like that society has been fine,
Does India not
right?
encourage marriage? I'm pretty
That
sure
is
India
like
encourages.
I
Oh, they
I
oh,
definitely
no
encourage
way to
marriage.
say it.
But please allow me to go back and just say all y'all niggas have some
Oh,
fucked up misogynistic like thoughts of marriage. All y'all, all three of y'all, for real.
no, not really at all.
Thank
So
Prime, you
piece
good.
Yes,
attention
really.
or I tear into you.
And if y'all rewind this shit back, y'all realize that like this shit is like really cringe. Like
How?
so cringe. And that like I'm so glad that like I wasn't able to like chirp in because like fuck
No,
like
I'm asking
it's
you to do it right now. You calling us
then
things.
yeah. So
then y'all will be
DQ,
able
tell us
to
what it
see
is.
all of this
DQ,
shit.
tell us what it is. What you should realize.
Just all of it. All of it. I can't even
No,
pin
no.
down
Hold on,
because there were
hold
so
on.
many. No,
Then
because there were
give us an
so
example
many
of
damn
something, please. Go
statements.
ahead.
Okay, your thoughts of marriage are very Christian oriented, are very they should marry not for love but for resources, but for things, which is fine in some countries, right? And in some instances on fucking Netflix, right? But the thing about it is, if a woman was hearing this, if y'all were talking to y'all's ladies about that shit and the way that y'all were, the woman would walk away and
I think only
be
Prime said that.
and
I
would
think
be
Love is
like
Italian.
Prime was in
and
the
like
Prime was in
yeah,
was the least.
I
She
don't
said all
know.
three. Number one, Prime
Yeah.
was the
What was
least
said?
misogynistic. If I'm gonna be charitable or grace, show grace at all. So I don't even know what you're
Well,
talking about. And
well,
you
then
just
I
it's
you,
not
did.
you mind.
listen,
I don't know how
listen,
you like.
I will
You like to mind read. You like to mind read, Queen. You like to mind. You like to mind read a lot. How do you know? I know plenty of women who be
what?
perfectly
I
fine with what
can't
I just said.
understand what you said. Run that back.
Okay, so when I talked about marriage, I said, in fact, the most I could see like maybe to steel man your position, the most patriarchal thing I might have said is when like the husband has to be the priest, protector, provider, and the woman is the protector, provider, helpmate. But I don't see how that's misogynistic.
I didn't hear you say that. To be honest, I'm just dealing with the
Yeah,
concept
I
of
said it
like
in a lot more
two
words
people.
than that. I just shortened it
Two
down,
people
but I need
should.
to see.
I,
And they're very
I need to see how that was
heterosexual.
misogynistic.
And they're very heterosexual
Um,
too, in that
Okay,
sense as well. But
we're
you know,
heterosexual
there
beings.
are other people there are other people in the world
me and Prime
who
got
may
married like 10
not
minutes
want
ago.
can I
that
Yeah,
ask?
we got
shit.
married
Can I,
10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
Congratulations,
that's totally right.
congratulations on your
can I ask
marriage.
a serious question? Right?
Mhm.
What's wrong with somebody that is heterosexual having a heterosexual view on marriage? If someone's a Christian, what's wrong with them having a Christian view on marriage? That's just who they are as a person. That's not
Well,
necessarily
we're
a
applying.
bad thing. Like, did I miss something here?
But
The
it's
only thing you missed
knowledge.
there is that we're trying to apply it to the rest of society. We're saying that everyone in society should live like this. But I don't think my perspective on marriage was
I don't
necessarily
care as
Christian.
long as you
I'm
don't
sure it
kill
comes from
nobody.
Christianity.
Don't
Well,
kill
no, I
nobody.
do
Don't
care.
beat
I'm
nobody.
saying I'm the opposite. Like that's what Prime. I'm saying now I think marriage should mean something a little more particular. I don't think it has to be
Y'all
necessarily
were
the Christian
talking about
doctrine.
marriage contracts and all that shit. Like
Because
what
we're
the
talking
fuck
about
is
Right.
all
somebody
that
Yeah.
who's
shit?
married
Right.
a
Prime's
immigrant
argument is closer that
and then
you don't care. You don't give
disappeared.
a
So I guess
I can't understand
I'm
all of
close to the
y'all
prime. Like if I'm gonna give my 2 cents, I'm close to the prime. Like I really don't care who gets the fucking married as long as they don't kill each other. Like we don't have time for like that. We got bigger fish to fry. Whoever you choose to fuck is your business.
Yeah,
Well,
but then
Like
y'all were
whoever
also
you choose to
talking
spend the rest
about
of your life
here.
with is somebody else. It's not my business. It's not the state's business. It's not the state or my business. Whoever you choose to be with, you're a grown ass person. Do whatever the fuck you want to do.
see,
Now,
I
when it comes
disagree.
to when it comes to the place of you telling me that I have to do something about it, like that's when I go, hey, bro, that it's not my dog to fight. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not gonna stop you though. Like, all this forced allyship is my problem. I don't like forced allyship. I think that's faker than anything else.
What do you mean force allyship?
What I mean
Like,
by forced allyship
it-
is
it-
if you're
it's-
not supporting me, if you're not actively pushing for my agenda, then you are a problem. And you can take that and you can apply it to anything. And I'm just like, sometimes it's not necessarily your problem. Like, as long as if I'm not like pushing for, oh, you need to, I'm trying to think of something that's like you're not gonna die from. Like, I guess even the marriage thing, like, okay, you guys couldn't get married statewide, right? Like, you could still be with that person and be together for the rest of your life. Because who the fuck wants to get divorced? Like, most people get most marriages end in divorce anyway. So I'm like, most people, they stay together and they're together and everybody's happy. That's the only thing that matters. It's between y'all. Y'all can do a whole marriage ceremony and not actually be married. Who gives a fuck?
I don't know.
Put that person in your will. Make a will, put them in your will.
Which
that's
can
what-
I put an asterisk on that and say, don't forget to create a living will, because y'all were talking about who y'all would like to like come in the like ER, make medical decisions for you. A living will like do that for you, and of course putting that in your will is when you die, but a living will gives you that fact,
Agreed.
basically like a will. So
I got
don't
like
forget to
1
do
and a
that
half assets.
shit.
I'm fine. But the reason
I
this
feel like there's
conversation
just
came
better
to
things
me,
to worry about than who somebody fucking. I
well,
just
that's
really
it,
fundamentally.
it's not about who. It's just that you should be fucking somebody. And that's where it started out. The conversation started out was Prime was
So
making an
nuns are
argument.
bad.
No, I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
let me finish. So
yeah, just let me break it
Sorry,
out. Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Prime was reading an article about a lady who may or may not have been involved in a quote unquote scam marriage, and Prime took issue with the concept of scam. He was saying that, well, what makes a marriage a scam? To him, all the marriage is a legal contract. If two people, as long as they're consenting adults, like who are of like sound mind and understanding what they're getting themselves into, if they form that contract, they can do it for whatever reason they want to do it for, and no, it shouldn't matter. And that's where I came in. I was like, I disagree. I think that marriage speaks to a specific concept because it has benefits. It's about people in the society who have some level of affinity or relation to each other. So that means, like I said, y'all like each other, y'all likely live together, y'all likely share finances, etc. And I think the state should encourage people to do that, like whatever that looks like, because for better or worse, it seems to be for the good of those individuals and for the good of society as a whole to have people in a marriage like where they share resources and like each other and have like a legitimate partnership. Like I said, I don't think it's good if people marry just for citizenship and then they get divorced, or if they get married just for a business deal and then they get divorced, etc. Like, I think that marriage should mean something. That's where we've been talking through.
Oh, can I say that in that case also, people marry for more money in the military all the fucking time and get divorced later. You know, I think that if you want to get divorced from your spouse for whatever reason that you just listed is fine. Like
Yeah,
marriage
I'm
doesn't
in
have
favor of
to
no-fault divorce.
necessarily
yeah. We're not talking
but
about
I'm
divorce.
saying
We're talking about
divorce
marriage.
doesn't
Just
have to
Yeah,
marriage
I'm just
stuff.
saying we
yeah,
should
but
encourage.
no. I'm getting to my point, which is marriage should and can't. Excuse me. Marriage can sometimes not mean anything, and that's okay. And sometimes marriage can mean something, and that's okay.
Go ahead.
But
What if-
how you want to view your marriage is between y'all two's individuals.
Yeah, what's an example of a meaningless marriage? I'm still failing to comprehend that. What is a meaningless
Okay,
marriage?
so here's what I want to say back to Bam on I guess maybe I'm not saying it back to Bam. Maybe I'm more so saying it to Prime because you said what Prime's point was. My thing is I would label it a scam if the other person was deceitful in their end of the contract. I would label it as deceit.
I think he's
Like for instance, if the person thought, "Hey, we're going into this contract and we're gonna do X, Y, Z," and then you don't fulfill your end of the bargain, I think then that is a scam.
I agree, and that's why I said you didn't
Yeah.
hear all that, but I said that previously as well.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, so like
cool.
this person, so the marriage scam, as described, would be like this individual, marrying another person to give them like a green card, but maybe not like transferring the funds, right? Like, hey, we agreed for a price for this, then you didn't do that. I think that would be a scam because that was the contract, you didn't fulfill that contract. So I agree with you completely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We're on the same page.
So, but
Same.
I think that I
You got
think
me
like
worried, Prime. You got me worried.
my issue with that is I think we're trying to build a brighter society, and I think society should encourage people to do things that make for better lifestyles. And I think incentivizing marriage with our tax benefits is a good thing. But I think when we deal with the root of the crux of what we're trying to incentivize, we're trying to incentivize that thing of that relationship of like, oh, okay, people are going to come together, they're going to have some level of relation. There may or may not be kids that come from it. They're going to share finances. They're probably going to share a living space. Like, I think that that's the thing that I want my government and society to encourage. And I
And I
don't think
feel
we can
like all
encourage that.
those have meaning and value. So I still don't understand the point of saying there are marriages without value or meaning. So can somebody give me an example of a valueless, meaningless marriage?
Well, I'm the only one that feels that these men consider these things to be valueless. I'm saying
And,
the things that
they
aren't
seem to be
anything.
arguing the contrary. So I'm asking for an example.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I think of value, quote unquote, valueless marriage is a marriage for a green card followed up by a divorce. I think that's not what I don't consider that. Like, I understand that person is getting something out of it. So I don't. Valueless probably isn't the right word, but I don't think that that's a good thing to consider a marriage. I don't think it's a good thing to consider a marriage if someone's doing it just to exchange money for a tax.
So I don't think there's any valueless marriage. At least I can't think of anything right now. Maybe if someone could paint an example for me.
Sure.
But I don't think there's a valueless marriage. But I think there are valueful marriages, meaning that I like on a spectrum, I would say there are some marriages that are just more valuable than others, right? So it would be pretty much the marriages that Bam would prefer. Like I would prefer that people like each other, in their marriages, that they can form positive bonds, mutually beneficial, hopefully loving, right? That produce whatever they want to produce. They may not want to have kids, right? So I don't put that as more valuable. To the greater society, I guess it's more valuable because then we have more people to continue on the country, the nation. But in terms of like how I view that marriage in particular, if they don't want children, I wouldn't say that's less valuable than another one. But still, yeah, like there are some good things that can come about, like a union, right? Just like any other business deal, there are some optimal business deals and less optimal business deals. Um, and so I think an optimal one would definitely involve two people who have found each other, who are going to like, when you're in love, it's like it's unless you're even adding something to each other, you're like it's multiplicative, where like the two parts are greater than the whole, right? Sorry, the whole is greater than the two parts, whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? Those are fantastic. But then on the other end, right, where you don't have any of those things, but you're getting married for some sort of reason, right? You decide two individuals to get married. And maybe it's for immigration papers, maybe it's for, I don't know, just tax purposes, whatever it is, right? that has value too. Maybe you're getting married just because you want to be a beard for the other one, right? Meaning that like you want to like a man and a woman getting married when they're both of them are gay. And they're just marrying to fool their families, right? Well, hey, that has a value too, right? So I don't can't think at this moment of a valueless marriage, but there are scales of what is valuable to me.
Yeah, does that help?
Yeah, I think if we're going to admit that there are more valuable, and then it's just like to admit that there are more valuable marriages would be to concede that the more valuable marriages would often lead to more optimal, right, conclusions, right, or effects for like society at large, even if society promotes it or not, right? And then we would just have to go down like all those positive effects.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that I would, if I was running society, I would want my government to encourage things that seem to lead to better outcomes for that society. And we've already listed a number of things like, oh yeah, when two people live together, their bills become a lot more affordable. Like they can share one living space. Like there's a lot of like good things that come when people do this like marriage thing. We should probably encourage that. We'll give them a tax break to do it even.
And
And
it's okay. Yeah, and it's okay to be like to allow negative things to occur as long as they don't outweigh those valuable, like for like negative relationships can occur as long as there are more valuable relationships holding together the fabric of that society or that community.
mm, yeah, so I don't know. I guess I'm just thinking of like like we should encourage people. Like level one, we should encourage people to do good things. I think w- my concept of marriage is a good thing, and even though like some people aren't going to do that, then I don't think we have to like center the people who aren't going to do that. Like it's I feel like in society we like sometimes we go, this is gonna sound like crazy, well, a little toxic, but sometimes we go too far with inclusivity. Like every shape matters. It's all gonna like everybody has their own way of doing things, and that's perfect. I don't think we always have to say that. I think we can say that like this is the thing that works out the best most of the time, and we're gonna encourage people to
Mm.
do that. And for people that doesn't make sense for, they're probably gonna find their own path anyways.
Hey, okay, I hear what you're saying, right? Um, but what if the thing that actually has more success isn't the thing that you prefer? So,
Mhm.
I don't know the statistics, but let's just I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, right? I remember I had a friend who was Indian. He
Mhm.
had these Indian parents. I've told this story before on stream. Um and this I was in high school and I would, go over and talk to his parents and like this is the first time I had met people in an arranged marriage. They talked about that, right? And it was
Mhm.
like it was super interesting. I had questions, and they were kind enough to answer. Uh and they said, according to them, and I don't have this data, but let's assume they weren't lying, that arranged marriages um, are more likely to not end a divorce. Um,
Mhm.
so, assuming that's true, and I've heard something like this
I believe
since
in on
then.
face value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard something like since then, right? If that's the case, but they're not marrying for love, but just because their parents put them together, right? That's not the American value, the typical American view of these things. But
Mhm.
just because their parents put them together. After that, they actually did form some sort of kinship. They liked each other. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I imagine they would say they loved each other afterwards. I'm not sure if I asked them that at the time, but
Mhm.
they seemed to be happy with their union. Um, but like if that is the case, right? If it's the case that like, whoa, you have better results if your parents put you together. You don't choose your partner. You just kind of go along with it, right? Well, then
Mhm.
would you say we should encourage that here in the States?
It's a
Yes,
proof.
but
No, it's not a proof of saying that one is more better than the other. It's a proof of saying that if you put two people in a situation where there's like multiple pressures to remain in that situation from like family, financially, religiously, society, and two people just decide to choose to grow into a union, right? Instead of trying to court each other to figure out affinity and compatibility beforehand, one may be easier than the other, right? And it's just to show that really anybody, if you put them together, right, and you allow people to try to find compatibility between the two partners, you allow other people to do it, then it just leads to like less divorce. That's what all it proves. But that doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily
I'm about to say
mean
you can't justify the sacrificing of the like. Yeah, one, I think you have to justify the freedom you're giving up. There is going to be a point where like if free people freely choosing their marriages leads to like a 20% success, and then arranged marriages had like an 85% success, then like yeah, like the difference would be the margins would be wide enough to like justify the giving up that freedom. But the other thing you would need to, I mean, I guess not prove, but like have reasonably be able to deduce is that the marriages are succeeding like because they're arranged versus what's more likely is people in arranged marriages come from more conservative backgrounds. People from conservative backgrounds are less likely to get divorced in general. They probably have stronger religious ties and certain like all these things, other things that are probably actually the bigger factor for why they're not getting divorced. But yeah, like I said, assuming in the like the best case scenario that literally just having your parents, do it does have like a meaningful does meaningfully increase your chances of having
or
a
beyond
high success rate.
conservatism. Sorry, and
Can
to
I can I
to
make a
build off
jump
of
in
that,
real
and then I'm gonna
quick?
let Queen go. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
I'll
build off
definitely
real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go. It's just to show if two people comply with the process, right, and they have minimal failures, minimal mistakes, then yeah, it's very likely that they will over time grow bonds and have a successful relationship. That doesn't disprove, right? That doesn't disprove or make something that is like begins with courtship less satisfying, right? Because now we're just measuring for success of a relationship. We're not measuring how happy, like the highs and lows, right? We're not measuring for trauma. We're not measuring for like that's the only variables we're measuring for.
Well, I was assuming we were gonna measure those other things later in life, but DQ can go.
There's no assumption that of that at all.
DQ, if
But
you're
yeah,
talking, we
DQ.
can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
not.
there we go. We can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't talking. um, Prime, can you take care of someone in chat,
Oh yeah,
please?
you should have been like that AK-47.
Oh, what do we got here? But anyway, keep
Yeah.
going.
What was I gonna say? Sorry.
We were talking about you wanted to respond whenever I started talking about
Arranged
conservatism, people getting
marriages.
married, arranged marriages.
Well, I mean, like, if I was able, I would probably like if I lived in like a different era, I would probably be okay with arranged marriage to a point. But if we think about divorces, right? Think about Married at First Sight or what's the pod ones on Netflix,
Is that
right?
Love is Blind or something?
Love is Blind, yeah.
Yeah, Love is Blind, right? There are all of these different shows that are happening around the world, right? That are doing this thing where it's like you're giving up your freedom to whoever or like some science project, right? And some people fail this science project and some people succeed at this science project, right? Or some people later down the line are like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Right? So it's like people can like have different like points of like divorce, as well.
So,
So it's not always like these arranged marriages, either with mom or dad, right, are going to last long. Some people get divorced very quickly. Some people have long marriages. It just depends on the person, depends on the situation, and everything of that sort.
Well, yeah, I think Prime was saying if the assumption was overall, by and large, if it did lead to more successful marriages by having your parents pick, should we as a society encourage that? Like more people like to do it.
I
um,
Whatever.
don't think that would work, but I mean, like I said, look at all of the shows.
so yeah, would you, on the other end of it, like, Bam, would you ever ban, uh, like different forms of marriage? So, like, going off of what our friend DQ just said, like looking at those reality TV show marriages, so many of them end in divorce. I wonder if we rank them, right? Like we ranked
I
all
love
the
Married
different
at
types
First
of
Sight.
marriages. Like would reality TV show marriages be at the very bottom for success rate? So would you say that like you couldn't have another what was it Till Tequila had one? Was it what was that called?
Shot of Love.
Shot of Love. Yeah. Shot of Love. Would you ban something like that from happening?
Oh,
They
goodness.
they actually get married at the end.
Outside
either,
of
but
my,
whatever.
I'm about to say, outside of my like personal enjoyment, because I get so much entertainment from watching the nonsense. Pro, I don't know. It's weird because it's generally fake. Like you know that like, oh yeah, like I talked to this person two weeks after the show was over, and then they never speak again or whatever. So it's a strange concept. But no, I don't think I would ban those. Yeah, I don't think we have enough reason to ban those because it even if it is like background, like the stardom, even if we know it's for TV,
Mhm.
at least the face value is put on like I'm trying to find love.
Come
I'm
on,
trying to
Bam. Bam, please. Bam, please. What?
on their face. What do they say that they're for?
No. I agree with you there, right? But my, it's why would that be a loophole or an exemption for everything else you've just said for like the last hour and a half? Like we've been talking,
I think
you've been saying that like
there's-
it has to be for love, but you also understand these reality TV shows. That's actually not the case. That they're lying. Like that's bullshit. They're doing it literally for fame and fortune, right? Hopefully fortune, at least for fame. And you're saying that yeah, as long as they have the veneer, meaning as long as they hit the checkbox, right? Well, then I guess it's fine. Like,
well, like I said, I said earlier that there's like the marriage should mean something, but that bar should be low. Like, do you
so
like
low that like we know as a society it's a complete lie.
I think that New York legitimately loved Flavor Flav's ugly ass. I think she did. I think she like after being on 2 seasons of it, I think she had a real affinity for this man. Like crazy as it seems, like, and I think that happened from the show. And I think that would be crazy to say that like no, like because it happened through TV, you guys can't.
Hold on, but then what? Hold on. What? Oh my God! Bam! Okay.
And there are couples on
Then
these shows
how
that do
is
end up
that different
getting
from a
married.
marriage, an immigration marriage, right? Where there's an exchange, like for an exchange of cash for
Because
immigration,
they're not
right?
doing
Like,
it for cash. They're doing it for love.
yeah, but no. We know there's a veneer of love. Now you're giving an example of sometimes it's not that it's impossible for people to find affinity within a reality TV show, right? That's certainly the case. There's if we could break them all down, right? I'm sure we can find some individuals who did it for love, even if it didn't work out. But we also know a lot of them are doing it for fame. They're fame whores. Like that's why they're on the reality TV show in the first place, right? They want people. They're looking to grow their Instagram, especially since social media has blown up, right? It gives them a clear avenue for like upping your fame and therefore upping your fortune through like doing brand deals and shit, right? We know that is their reasons for going on. And you're saying, well, that as long as they put the veneer, they act like that in front of me. They give me entertainment where they pretend and to have feelings for this other person, right? Even if I know 100% that's a lie, that's good enough.
Fake it till you make
I
it.
think there's value in the veneer. Yeah,
Oh my
No,
god.
fake it till you make it.
I do. I think there is. I think there's value in like,
Wow.
what are you here for? I'm here for love. Like,
Wow.
You're
okay,
down
that
Fake
bad,
it
matters.
bro.
till you make it, baby.
You are a self-indulgent, selfish person, hypocrite.
How am I a hypocrite? I'm
You're a
consistent.
hypocrite. You're a
I just want
hypocrite.
you to
No,
take. because
no.
this goes back to
You
Prime's
don't want
argument.
the
Like, you
best
can't prove
outcome.
it.
But you said you want the best outcome for society, so therefore the government
Yeah,
should
people get married
discourage
for love.
reality shows. Because reality shows
Yeah,
have
well,
been peak downfall for society.
I don't know about
I'm
that.
not. I don't want to fall into like a full like technocracy
Because
where
y'all
like
was self
we're like
Degenerate.
calculating. There should be,
Degenerate.
like I said, we have to calculate what we're giving up, what freedom we want to take for someone for what benefits gained. And I don't know if we can like say that like,
That's
oh,
the
there's
show.
going to
You're
be
not taking away
another-
nothing but the show. You can't televise that. Get that
Sure,
off of
and
television.
I don't know if there's enough benefit. I don't know if there's a benefit gain from that. From
But we
preventing.
damn sure know the downside. So get rid of it.
I don't know if it's that much of
You
a downside.
said best possible outcome. You can't be
No,
the best being
Best
mediocre.
is like weighted in. Again, best is always going to be weighted against like I said, what you have to give up for it.
No,
But
hold on,
like I
hold
said,
on. He never talked. No, this is an avenue towards a best outcome. That's what Bam said. He didn't say because it might be the worst avenue possible to the best outcome, we should just get rid of all worst avenues. No, he clearly said just now that as long as you have the slightest veneer of trying to go towards love, right? Even if some of you are kind of shallow and vain, and a lot of y'all just trying to, get the 1 million followers on Instagram, as long as you might still love, Joe, go ahead. Because at the end of the day, it still might lead to the best outcome.
Yes.
And we've seen that, in fact, on Love is Blind season 4, a lot of those people, we could clearly tell who was in it for fame, and we can clearly tell, and I think that was one of the best seasons, where when people truly applied themselves to the controlled experiment and to the process, there was a ton of positive relationships. I think that season had one of the most relationships successful in the history of
isn't
that
it the newest
show.
season? It's still technically
No,
a
no,
chance
that's not
that
the
a lot of
newest
those
season.
fail.
And there was a lot more black people in that season too.
Is it? I need to watch
season
that one.
4.
Then. That's my other thing. I love reality dating shows that involve a bunch of black
It's
people.
in fact, one guy went in, and there was 2 girls he found himself compatible with. One girl decided that she
Ooh,
was just in it kind of for the fame, and she was just being nice, but she didn't really like. He went back after rejecting another girl, and ended up marrying the girl he rejected. All right, and apologized and did the whole thing and whatever. But that still led to a great outcome. And that was one of the worst case, most embarrassing avenues possible. She said, like, she doesn't want to be somebody who's like the second choice, right? But they still got married after he apologized.
That's not gonna
And they have
last.
a happy life.
That's not gonna last. He'll never be able to make that up to her. It's over with. It was over before he got started.
Yourself
So-
up. You need to be
It
talking
was
about
over
your
before he got
side of your
started.
head. You be talking about the side of your head. Shut up.
Bam.
They happen.
So I'm at the immigration office, right? With my my lady love, okay? All right. We got married previously. Now we're going in for a green card. Right? This is years later. We're going in for the green card. Now, for whatever reason, you have a reason to suspect that me and this Nigerian I'm marrying, right? May not have done it for love, right?
Oh, you currently have, or you've like fell out of love? Because that's another thing that I think. I think that like if you get married, like I love this person, I don't think you should be able to like hold that over them. Like you better do what I want. Like I think after that point, like or I'm gonna go to at the green card hearing, I'm gonna like say, you know what, I changed my mind. Get her out of here.
I mean, well, no, but that's the thing that actually is a level of abuse, immigration abuse that people do when you have a power over the other person, right? They know that their immigration status is dependent on them. Yes, then at least can lead to like a marital like abuse. And it's actually really bad. So I mean, obviously I'm not for that. Anyway, but like I'm saying that, so you are the marriage officer, or like not the marriage officer, the immigration officer, whatever the it's called, right? You're judging this
Make out
relationship before
kids.
we can get the green card. And like you're saying that all we need is the veneer. Now you already have reasons to suspect. I don't know. You've gotten some evidence that we were just doing it for the green card, right?
Mhm.
But we sit down, right, and I lean over, a kiss on the cheek,
Boom. Mhm.
veneer of love, right? Like I've kissed her on the cheek. It's my affection. It's my display of affection. So that would
Yeah.
be enough, right?
I don't know about enough, but like
Oh, why
I would
not?
still do the question. I would still do the questions
Wait,
like,
but
oh,
he has
okay,
to
like
suck
do you
a
guys
dick?
live together?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
just have
watch.
to suck a dick.
She might have to. She may.
Oh,
But say if I'm the officer, some things might go down in that room. We're gonna make a flick.
And you're gonna
But-
watch you, dude. You're depraved.
but you said you're different. But
I've
yeah,
definitely watched. I've watched some weird stuff. I've definitely watched.
I've definitely watched some weird things. Like I'm not sure if I should have done that, but I did. So I mean, it is what it is
Man.
now. I'll have to hold that.
And you lying if you ain't never. You lying if you say you never watched. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm not lying. Watch is different than like you're scrolling and like it pops up. Watch means intent.
yeah. No, I've
no, I'm not
watched
talking
some.
about
Seen-
scrolling pops up.
Seen is
I'm
some-
saying like,
seen some
hey,
ass-
so and so's in the back room with what you call it, and you're like, what? And you like
You
peek through the door. Yeah, like
Wait, you're talking. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about a guy and a girl. Okay, I thought y'all were talking
Yeah.
about a guy and a guy.
Like I had
And
nothing.
that's why I was.
I-
That's why I
I
was concerned. I was like,
had
what y'all
literally.
doing?
Well, first of all, I had literally nothing in mind, right? It was just like whatever. Like, have you seen a weird thing on the internet and then just like watched it any which way? Like, this is gonna be some weird shit, but you sat there and you watched that shit, right? And maybe you jerked off a little bit. You're like, all right, well, this is a weird one, but I'm just gonna have to move on with my life. It's happened to me. I'm gonna say that. I'm like, I feel worse. I feel actually worse about myself for doing this, but yeah, I just got to move past it.
Clarity is like a train.
We need to study
Yeah.
that. We need to study that. Put that under a microscope. Oh, and tell when Smooth come back, I just want to tell him he was wrong because they got a child. I can't wait till he come back.
Okay, well, until that happens, bam.
Who has a child?
The people that you doom to failure.
Love is
Who?
Blind season 4 people.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. What happened?
It's true. There's a lot of.
Oh, we got
baby-
to-
Does not mean you're going to stay together. We know this.
That's true for any
I can't
marriage,
hear
though.
you. Sit down.
Huh?
Yeah, sit down, man. Like, what are you doing?
No,
You like
I got
washing your
something going
hands?
on. No, I got something going on.
You just playing in vagina over on the side and coming back to the screen? Okay.
See,
What we got going on
now,
in the
now
room?
that's misogynist, DQ. If you want to point a
That was
finger,
misogynist.
do that to
Right.
him. But
God ain't with me yet.
yeah,
But
bam.
what
So
were you saying
I'm trying.
before we get further? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the minimum level of affection that I have to display during the during the immigration.
It's not even about like the affection. Like I said,
Oh,
it would be
now
like
it's not.
asking like, well, I'm saying like that would be nice to say like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. But really, it's just about okay, because you could be having a bad day. You could be like, oh, we're in a fight right now. But like, oh, did you guys live together? Yeah, like. Do you have
That
like
doesn't
what you
apply
said, like the
affection.
anniversary date, that type of thing? Just the basic, like, oh, okay, it seems like you two
But sure,
having
let's find the minimum amount, right? We got to find the minimum amount before immigration bam is kind enough to stamp our papers and provide us with that green card. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not enough for me to lean over, kiss her on the cheek, right? That's not enough, right?
that would be a stranger.
That could be a stranger. Okay. Is it enough if we evolve tongue, right? If we little spit swap
No,
there?
they're about to say people pay prostitutes like that they don't even know the name of.
Okay.
I'm talking about like there's some idea of like, oh, okay, what's
we have
does
pictures
one of you-
together. We have pictures together.
Yeah, does one of you cook more than the other? Do you
But-
share household chores?
Oh no,
like-
but yeah. But still, I'm starting from the bottom, inching my way up. Right, we have pictures together.
No.
Why not? Hold on. We have pictures together and from all different seasons. These are pictures together. Why
Yes.
not? Why not?
No,
Yeah,
'cause
as
I
a hun-
need to figure out that you guys know each other. Do you know who this person you're sitting next
Oh,
to is?
oh, so we just need to like spout trivia at you. Oh, I can spout trivia.
Yeah.
Okay, so that we've talked.
Yo,
So we,
wow.
so it's just so you know that we've talked before that moment we walked into the office. Okay, right? And
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I can
to
ask
some
her,
degree,
hey,
yeah.
what's your favorite color? Right? What do you like to eat?
That's fine,
like,
bud. You
like
know
what are
you
your
don't need no
hobbies?
favorite.
Right?
Oh, she likes
So-
pink. Let's
so
get
basi-
married.
Basically, all the things that if we had
Y'all have to
basically a
take
20-minute date.
pictures and do
Yeah.
all of that shit.
But the
Y'all
pictures
have
as
to
a-
take pictures.
But she's
and
saying that
do all
he's saying
of
the
that
pictures don't
shit.
matter though.
Y'all have
They-
to
Yeah,
take
pictures aren't- yeah,
no,
pictures aren't
no,
that.
the fact
Sorry,
that
why are you
no,
repeating that?
matter if you're
Y'all
trying
have
to
to
like.
take-
He's
No,
just
no,
saying
no, the
that.
Oh,
fact
sorry.
that do all of
There's a
that
problem.
matter if you're
Y'all
Oh
trying
my
to
God.
like.
Hold
No,
on.
no, the
Oh my
fact
God.
that
Hold on a
do
second.
all of that matter if you're trying to.
Where's the server mute here? Server mute.
That went crazy.
That was crazy. Sure. Let me try to unmute her. I don't. What happened, hon? Okay, we lost one. We lost Smooth. Okay, let's.
Something that's wrong with me? Yeah, something's
Uh,
wrong with you. I know. I think that was smooth.
Hey, are you still there, DQ?
What? Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
No, it's still doing it.
Still doing what?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's her.
Oh shit! It is still doing it.
But I think it's
Something
only
wrong,
when she's
something wrong with both of y'all.
which is weird. Say something else.
What's it doing?
It was like
it's
it was
repeating.
reverberating in a weird way. I was
Yeah.
like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. It was like reverberating in some like
Yeah.
really Oh, it's but Smooth saying something wrong with me, but I'm not sure what was wrong with him.
No, I don't think. Oh, something's
No,
wrong with
it
him.
happened
Yeah,
to
I'm about to
all
say
of
no. I hear DQ's thing. It seems like. Do you have like? Are you streaming? Is it like the Streamlabs like infinite infinite mirror thing?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
I
I
don't
need
know.
to like
Yeah.
figure
Never
out.
mind.
how to
There we
get, like,
go.
Okay, yeah, so I had to serve
It's
mute you.
transforming.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got multiple mouths underneath that. Underneath that job, she got
Like,
three
as soon as I think
mouths.
it's fine, she says the next thing, and then it's like
It's coming out her cheeks.
You might have to actually go all the way out of the
Yeah.
chat.
I had to server mute her. It's the only way that we can debate queen.
Kick her back out of
leaving
the
the
room. Yeah.
door and back.
She wanted to call us cringe 3 times in a
But
row.
yeah, like maybe, sure. Maybe you had an extensive 30-minute conversation beforehand,
Yeah.
and you've like ran your cards and you've got it down. Like, then cool, you got it down. But yeah, I want you to come in and say that, like, yeah, we live at this address. We, sleep
Okay,
together.
so
and-
as long as we have like we've done the basic first date questions, that's the minimum to show that's
Not
the
basic.
veneer we need, right?
not the basic first date questions. It's going to be things about each other, things about what your life looks like together. You can fake it. It can be fake.
Yeah, hold on, but how would you know if any of those are true, right? Because you don't know the answer to that.
Well,
No,
they have to have the same answer. That's the thing about it.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna bring them in separate. Okay, so this is what happened to my parents apparently, right? So like,
Mhm.
they brought them in separately, right? I think it was either first my dad, then my mom, whatever, right? And then they answered questions, and like I told you, my dad like fucked it up. So you're saying that we have to
Fucked it up.
Sorry,
You just did it now.
DQ. Wait, try talking again. DQ.
Sorry,
Wait, try talking again.
But oh,
I don't-
Yeah, it's
you
definitely.
just- you gotta shut your computer down. I don't know. You might have to actually do it.
Yeah, DQ. It's not working out. Just so you know, it's not working out. I don't know what it is.
We don't got affinity. We don't
Yeah, I don't
got
know what it
affinity.
is. Yeah, like I've never seen this happen before. And it was fine previously. Something must have changed because it was fine before.
Mhm.
You've been hating on niggas too
Yeah,
much. That's
yeah, right.
all that the dark,
Yeah,
Black man.
this
My
is because of her
darkness of black-
misandry.
the darkness
That's
of
why.
black niggas.
And now DQ can't respond to us. Yeah, it was because of your your misandry
Boom.
and misandrous behavior.
Ain't that misandry,
This
right?
happened. I've never seen this. Yeah, audience, I've never. This is an interesting kind of reverb. Like, and it was stacking on top of each other. And usually when you have reverb that stacks, like it distorts. This wasn't distorting. Like that's why I kept like. No. Oh, health-wise, okay. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
No, just I hope he's not dying.
Yeah, I hope he's okay. Yeah. So I don't know.
But yeah, you were describing with your parents. It seems like we already have a pretty decent process. Like,
So-
you come in individually, you
Yeah.
describe what does your lives look like together. Like, oh yeah, she works here, she goes there every day around this time, whatever. Like, it's not gonna be something that's like doesn't have to be perfect. Like, but it's gonna be like, oh, okay, I like this person clearly. These people clearly share a life together.
My understanding, and I don't know how true this is. Obviously, I've never done one of these things before, right? And I'm not really planning on it. But my understanding is that the actual questions are actually pretty intense, like really intense and like weird. Like I've heard that they've asked. I was on a site and it like showed like a bunch of sample questions for this. I went really deep in this subject because again I have so many people undocumented in my life, and I'm hearing about their struggles, and like they show like sample questions like from these interviews, and it's wow. Like one of them is like how many windows are in the house, all right? Like how many window panes are in the house, and you have to know, right? You have the guys have to the same answer there, and there might be an effort to investigate people too beforehand. I'm not sure about that part, but they might actually like go and look for some information on
Like
you too.
it's kind of like adoption. Like I think there's an expectation that they could pop up like at a moment's notice, and there will be a reasonable expectation. Like if you're both not there, why isn't that like?
Yeah, they do have like those randomized inspections. At least that's what I believe they do. And you'll have to like prove your. I mean, we always see those episodes on TV when they did that, right? Like, this is a common like a trope where oh yeah we're doing it for the green card, and then we got to prove it. And like how do we do that? All right, and then like hijinks ensue in some sort of sitcom.
And then they always actually fall in love in the end. Like we're just doing this for money, and then in the end it's like wow that's a great person. I think there's even a Sandra Bullock movie.
They probably do usually fall in love now that I think about it, but not all the time. Not all the time. Like for instance, in Parks and Recreation, they didn't.
Is there a immigrant couple? In
Yeah.
Parks and
The Indian
Oh, no,
guy,
no,
Aziz Ansari. I'm sorry.
No
right?
spoilers.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But to be clear, Aziz Ansari isn't the immigrant here. In that situation. And it's interesting. But yeah, I guess I won't spoil it for you. But
Do I sound better?
we don't know yet.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Do I
does.
sound better? Can y'all still hear me?
okay,
It's okay.
I think you may be fine.
I think you might be fine.
All right,
Yeah.
girl. You sound all right. Okay.
I just won't hold my mic that close to me. But as long as y'all can hear
She
me,
sounds
then
so
that's
defeated.
fine.
Okay, I thought Aziz was doing. I had to watch Aziz.
Yeah.
I was like, don't do it, Aziz. Don't do it.
It's okay.
I guess
No,
You're
that
doing great.
that would have been the play, right? To just like start repeating your words on the same
Yeah,
cadence.
you sound better. Yeah, you sound better. But yeah,
You
I
okay,
mean,
DQ?
I can have beef. Like I can even make an argument against some of the things. There probably is certain things that's like, oh, that's probably like a higher bar than I would personally want. But to me, I guess that's still arguably better than the alternative, at least for me and the things that I value. But that speaks to the differences of values.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe we spoke 2 hours on marriage off of a whim.
Yeah. I'm. Well,
Looks
actually,
like all y'all are ready to get married.
I'm actually. What's okay? Actually, this is a real life person question. What is the reasonable? I'm not 30, but let's say you're 30 plus. Let's just round up. You're 30. What's a reasonable time for dating before you have to make? You should make that consideration for marriage.
you should
it
or
is gonna-
shouldn't.
Should.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. What's like the right time? What's way too short? And what's like you're dragging your feet?
DQ. I'm curious. I want to start with you on that one. What do you think is the? So you basically looking for the minimum then?
I'm looking for the ideal range.
Ideal range. Okay. Yeah. DQ.
Like at this point, like anything in here seems fair. Anything below that feels not enough, and anything past that feels like, oh, I can understand
I hear
why
you.
the other person.
Like 1 to 2 years, depending on like the relationships. 2 years would probably be like better. But I mean, if you like, there are people who are together for like 10 years and don't like ever get married, right? So
Yeah, but
there's
on
that.
average, so that's probably like if you're like 33 and you're like, I'm gonna date this person for 10 years without talking about marriage, they're probably gonna be pretty upset with you.
I mean, there's some people who literally are like, I do not want to get married, but we're in this relationship together, but
Yeah,
we
for that
never want to
individual.
get
I'm just speaking
married.
like generally for people who do have an assumption of a relationship ending with marriage, like and not wanting their time wasted.
Yeah, like I said, 1 to 2 years, probably 2 years would probably be the better end of the scope.
Mhm.
But if you would like to get married sooner, 6 months.
I think 6 months is
So
crazy.
yeah, I think 6 months is crazy too. But there's some people are like, when you know, and I'm like,
I don't know. My last ex was 5 years,
okay.
and we didn't end in marriage clearly. So that's I don't know. It just makes it work. What you think, Azzy, from a God fearing man?
How the time it takes after the age of 30 to get married?
Yeah.
I think shoot. If you're communicating, I would say like 3 to 5 months.
That's a Christian ass answer.
What the fuck?
That's exactly what that is. Like, what are you waiting for? Get on in there. Like,
It really does not take that long to get to know somebody if you're actually trying to get to know somebody. If you're beating around the bush and just seeing them whenever you can, trying to fit them around your work schedule, then I can see if you have like a heavy work schedule and you can't leave and you're making 6 figures and you have to be at the beck and call of your boss, right? You don't get, benefits. I'm paying
Are
you
any of you
this amount of
making
$500,000, you're a slave to this company and you can't meet nobody, then yeah, okay, maybe you might be able to talk to somebody like only over video or maybe once a month. But if you're a
like
regular Joe, you got weekends, you can talk to somebody plenty of time. You have plenty of time to know somebody over a course of like 3 to 5 months, 6 months, maybe. I wouldn't say anything over like 2 years.
okay, at 2
okay,
years,
love
it's
is
starting to drag your
blind.
feet.
Because at that point, like, what are y'all waiting for? Yeah, at that point, now you're just planning. You're just planning how the relationship is going to go, and you're trying to make everything perfect.
I don't even know if I don't even know if I would like from talking to a girl. I don't even know if I could commit to a exclusive relationship. I think it probably takes 2 to 3 months before I even decide
Oh,
if I
Yeah.
want to
discipline.
be.
Nah, bro. That's called discipline. You sound like what's that football player with the podcast? Not Shannon Sharp. When Ice Cube had to tell him, "Oh, who was that guy? Who was it? What's his name?" And Ice Cube told
Oh, I
him
know
that
what you're
he's
talking
been
about.
married to his girl for like 30 something years. He's like,
Yeah, I
"No,
know
no,
exactly
you
what
can
you're talking
commit
about.
to monogamy for 30 plus. That's a lot of time for one person." I can't. And he's like, "Bro, that's just like that's any relationship. Like you with your mom since you were born, right? You with your dad since you were born, and you guys
It's not the
definitely
same.
fought with your mom and dad.
It's not
But
pretending
at
it's the
the same
same.
time,
Fuck. Like, what?
I mean, I like the way he explained it. Ice Cube said that's any working relationship when you're actually with them, talking with them, right? Not some estranged. You only see them on like
It was with
special
Cam Newton.
occasions and holidays. Like if you
Yeah.
actually have a working relationship where you're going talking on the phone with them, doing things with them weekly, monthly, then yeah, you're gonna be arguing
Yeah,
with
and
them.
you have
There's
working
gonna be
relationships with other
tension,
people
you're gonna
though.
have to
Like
work
what?
through those
Like,
things.
but you don't have the one working relationship that's above all other working relationships. You have a working relationship, and then you have other working relationships. Like that's just this is nonsense.
Well,
Um,
there's a
No nonsense at
I'm about to
all.
say,
You just
there's a
gotta
type
hear the
of like
reasoning first. Maybe I'm not doing it justice, or I'm not doing it charity by the way I'm explaining it. But if you hear his reasoning, it was perfectly reasonable the way he was explaining it to why can't
Cam
I
Newton.
remember his name?
he
It's
says
the
Cam
guy
Newton.
who, oh my god, he
It was
like he
Cam
likes
Newton.
yeah, Cam Newton. Cam Newton's
Mhm,
podcast.
mhm.
Cam Newton,
But
like he had marriage consultants, he had relationship coaches come up to him and chastise him on his podcast, saying like you just lack discipline and commitment in order to stay with like one person.
of
But
course he does.
bam,
Mhm.
like. Oh, it's like you were gonna say something first. I'll follow up after.
Well, I was gonna say I was just as these responses like a particular type of like a super Christian or a super
He's not even Christian.
Catholic or a super like Jewish relationship. Like they when he talks about like like the intentionality behind it is like different. They become like, okay, if we're not at work or if you're not doing something related to work, we're together asking like these hardcore like future questions. Like it's not a normal dating process. So I understand like why that timeline speeds up because it's not casually dating. It's like, okay, do you expect to be married? How many children do you want? Like this is like date one, day one, like, what are the type of lifestyle that you can provide for me? Like how often are we gonna pray? Like, yeah, there's something to the speed of like really traditional, like say Christian and Catholic and Jewish
I don't know
relationships.
why y'all keep relying on or is ultra Christian. It's not new to be monogamous. In fact, some
We have
animals
other
are monogamous. There's some
Sure, but
lions
monogamy
that are
doesn't mean
monogamous.
marriage. Like we have other like in the modern society we have other forms of monogamy now. We have commitment. It's not like
Marriage is just a commitment and
legally
staying with
binding.
one. It's just staying with and sharing resources with an individual. This is why we say in common law, if you stay together long enough, you are legally married. It's just
Yeah,
staying together and forming a union.
yeah, but
You
when
find
I'm
it in
asking about marriage,
monogamy
though,
isn't
I'm
just some
asking about
Christian
something
thing.
different. I'm like, I can have a girlfriend in 3 to 5 months that like I've
It
decided.
sounds. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I'm just saying that like when I'm asking for is the legal like under God, under oath like relationship. When like I have, I can have a committed relationship to a single person within 3 to 5 months, but that doesn't mean that like marriage feels different to me.
Why does it feel different? What's the substantive difference?
Well, one, it's legal. Two, it's if I say two, we now like instead of just visiting each other, we're now most likely setting expectations of moving in together. We're sharing finances in a completely different way. We're planning, futures based around children.
Oh, didn't you have that before with your last girl?
We live together we did live together, but we weren't married.
Okay, so what would be the difference if you married her?
But I guess he's also asking like, yeah, those other expectations. Did you like were thinking about children, or you think about those things previously with your last girl?
I mean, if within 5 years you have to have those conversations, it would be crazy not to.
Yeah.
But it's
Or
a
were they
difference when all those
serious?
conversations. Yeah, I think they were serious, but I think it's different when those conversations are focused on like in the future versus like now, like them happening right in this moment. Like, yeah, like I'm sure everyone in here has had a conversation with someone about marriage, But
I
that's the
mean,
difference between.
everyone just saw it. I proposed previously. We already did that today.
But if you did, if someone did like, oh yeah, I want a wedding, and like that's different from being in the aisle, like standing at the altar. Then like just like yeah, we've had conversations about it, but like
Yeah.
that's not the same as being here right now.
I mean, fair. Yeah, fair. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I don't.
So
So like, I'm trying to like answer your previous question, and I don't. I think like under a year is crazy. I think under a year, like I don't think unlike what Azzy said, this is like 3 to 5 months or 3 to 6 months. I think that's wow. I don't understand like
you just have
even
you have no idea who you're gonna be with it.
yeah, even if I'm like focused on this individual, really trying to get to know them, right? And putting ourselves in a different situation, and that amount of time, like that's easy, especially if we get along well, right? Like that's the thing actually, because two people can get along really well in the short term, right? Like you guys can have like a lot of interests together, and like you're talking about, I'm like, oh man, this is really clicking, right? Like she's seen the movies I've seen her shows, I like gardening. She likes gardening too. All those types of things, right? And you have a lot to fill in that space with, right? And in that time, you guys can treat each other well, right? And this could look great, but that doesn't mean that you are romantically compatible, right? That means you might have found like a really good friend who, in our case, happens to be of a different sex, but you're not if you're gay, but like it might be of a different gender, and you're calling it like romantic, right? Like that it hasn't even you haven't. I don't think you can even be sure that you have those intensive feelings for one another. If that's the type of marriage we're talking about, of course, I actually don't care. To be very clear, but I don't think within that time that you can actually be sure that these are real feelings that go beyond, right, the fact that we have a bunch in common. We've shared life experiences. That this thing can work? Absolutely not. And then beyond that, then there's you need stress applied to the relationship. Like that's like the key for me. Because it's fine when everything is going well, but then all of a sudden you have a disagreement. How do we resolve our disagreements? And can we do it in a way that isn't toxic? And like what are the things that are the weak, not the weak points, but the your sensitivities of the other person. Can you deal with their sensitivities, right? Because at first they're usually not going to be obvious what their sensitivities are, but you may not find that out in 3 to 6 months. I think at least a year to try to figure out what those sensitivities are, and if you can handle them. Go ahead, Azzy.
But they may develop new sensitivities over time, even after you get
This is
married,
true.
because
I agree.
people are constantly emotionally evolving as human beings.
I hear you.
So to
Azzy.
know them fundamentally is the real issue.
Well,
And then being willing to make the choice now, no matter what the changes you make or I make, we're willing to choose to still remain united.
Azzy, I'm glad you brought that up. I really am, because I was having this argument with I can't remember. I've had this argument a few times with someone. Was it you, Bam? No, I don't think so. But basically, no, I think it was Aiko, maybe. Whatever. I'm sorry. That the argument basically saying that when we're talking about marriage, right? Like, our Lactoid was the one. Sorry, Lactoid was the person I was thinking of.
Who's gonna bother you? I got you.
Yeah. So that within this space, right? Once you try to marry someone, right? Like, that changes, right? Like, so that person that you marry initially, they're going to change across the years. It's extremely scary, right? That like you had a certain set of values that you guys aligned on, and then that shifts because of all kinds of reasons, right? Like, let's say they've gone through, yeah, they've had like a trauma.
They have a traumatic situation, and then like they're a completely different person now.
Yeah, it can easily happen. These things happen all the time, or all for all kinds of reasons. As things shift, right? So I hear you as like those sensitivity points, can change, and you're saying like, well, the best you can do is understand who they fundamentally are. Also understanding that who they fundamentally are is a snapshot in time, right? I would
Yeah.
counter, while I agree with you there, that you can't actually know someone fundamentally in like 3 to 6 months. Like I don't think you can. I think part of that
Why not?
is, yeah, sure. I think because of not understanding exactly how they deal with stress, right? Deal with all kinds of different situations. That like and not only them telling you their values, right, but actually demonstrating it, right? Like being put in different situations where you can see, like, yes, they're saying like I, I'm kind to my mother, right? But like after you've seen them actually interact with their mother a few times, and you're like, wait a minute. No, you're not. Like you like curse the fuck out of your mom, right? Like you actually do. Like at first you like it was fine, but like as soon as you guys had a fight, you curse the fuck out of her, or maybe you treat servers badly or something like that, right? People can say these things, and you can maybe say them convincingly, and maybe even be convinced of them themselves, right? They think this is me, but you need to have lots of examples of them demonstrating that picture aligns, you know. And I don't think you can do that in 3 to 6 months. That makes sense.
Why? How long do you think it takes to interact with somebody and those examples that you gave, right? So,
Mhm.
like, if you are allowed to engage with your partner's family, right,
Mhm.
and you watch them with the family dynamic in the truest form, they're not just putting on a show, they're actually being themselves. How long do you think it takes? Like, you need to watch them interact for a year in order to figure out, oh, you treat your mom like trash?
No, I don't.
I was gonna say, yeah, I
Go
think that could be a real
to
thing.
different restaurants for a year to figure out, oh, you treat servers like trash. Oh, we need to go out to Target 100 times before I figure out that you don't care about putting the tuna back in the tuna in the food aisle, and you just throw stuff. Like, it doesn't take that. It on paper, this is my position. Unless you can provide me something that's going to move my position, it really does not take that many times unless this person is absolutely just putting on a facade the entire times. And plus, yeah, there's the honeymoon phase and the romantic phase, and people are really just trying to show you the best form of themselves. But if the best form of themselves, I think the best form of themselves fundamentally is the person that they want to be, right? And that is a form or fashion of who they are.
I don't care about
If
who they
they're
want to be.
trying
I
to
care
be
about who they
something,
are. But you
well,
go,
yeah.
Bam.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just
And I
curious.
want
Do you
to
think? My bad, Ezzy. I'm curious. Do you think? One, I'm kind of surprised you're not married or close to it, Ezzy, just because of like the I think the principles and the things that you want from life. It seems like you would be able to find like some like traditional like black
As he's a
girl,
good
and
catch,
y'all
we're
would.
saying, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I mean, like, yeah, it just seems like, yeah, like it wouldn't take long for you guys to like you would have like a lot of intentional conversations. I'm surprised you're not married yet. But the other thing I would say is like all of those things that you want to figure out in your getting to know process, and this could be me, in the conversation you have me not having a good grasp of who you are. I Do you feel comfortable going to a girl's apartment like alone?
Yeah, I've been in girls' apartments alone.
Okay. I didn't know I don't know like what's like across the line for you. Because I was about to say there's some people who don't want to like do those things. They feel like, oh, like I don't want to put myself in that position or whatever. And I feel like there is like a lot of like gray areas in their relationships that become marriages. Like there's a lot of sides of that person they don't know.
Well, this is what we talked about before. Like, if the reason why they don't want to put themselves in those situations because they feel like they're going to be compromised somehow. But if you don't have that problem, or if you guard yourself and you stay mature and disciplined in those situations, like you have some sort of boundary and red flag, they're like, no, we're not doing this, right? Then there's no problems with that.
Are you on
Like,
Hinge? I feel like you just need to be on Hinge and sit your thing in the life
yeah,
partner.
I
I
was
feel like
on
you
Hinge,
find
but the way I'm gonna say I get hits on Hinge. Right? It's sometimes it's like some girls really want to talk, and I'm like working, and I can't talk as much. And but I'm very intentional with my conversations. Like every girl that I speak to on Hinge, like, oh, let's go out. They want to take it a step further because after it does, like I'm saying, it really does not take that much. I'm not the listen, I'm a pretty good looking guy, right? You know, I got some you know, some mysteriousness about me, like an Indian girl decided not to continue because she thought I was Indian, and because I wasn't Indian, he's like, "Oh, I didn't feel sparks." I'm like, okay." Like, but yeah, like with the
oh, you're a
girls
nigga?
who I match with and I'm intentional with them,
I can
those
see
relationships tend to go on pretty long.
I can see someone
Yeah,
thinking
but
he's an Indian guy, but yeah, go ahead.
Like I
so
was
you
having
sound
my first date, one of my first dates with one girl, right? We were watching movies. It was during COVID. We were watching movies at the same, like we were going like 3, 2, 1, and we're on the phone with each other. And because we couldn't be together because it was like COVID time, we would watch the movie at the same time. I met her on Hinge.
Or just use Discord. That'd be probably easier. But yeah.
I didn't know. I wasn't really into Discord.
yeah,
I didn't
Right.
know
so
about
girls
Discord.
don't know about this. Like you have to introduce like Discord is like a 5 levels later. Like that's like a different level of nerd. But um
Like
the
all I'm saying, like the point is,
it
if
sounds
you're
like you don't
really
have time to do
intentional
the
to
3
trying
to
to
5
get to know
months.
the person, sorry, but I just want to say this real quick. If you're really
Mhm.
intentional about getting to know the person that you are dating, then it really does not take that much. You just need to ask those purposeful questions, those meaningful questions. You need to give those meaningful answers, right? You need to have or push towards those types of conversations. Otherwise, yeah, you're gonna be this is like you're gonna be beating around the bush for a long time, and then the red flag happens, and this came out of left field, and now you're like, nah, I don't like you no more.
Hey Prom, ain't this your boy in the chat?
Bye. Who's my boy in the chat? Whittle Tago? Mad Latin. Oh. Hey, it's Mad Latin. Yeah. Hey, hi Mad Latin.
Mm,
Yeah,
Well,
man.
I just I know you like I hadn't seen him on in forever.
Yeah, we
I
missed
did
Mad
just
Latin. I hope Mad Latin's doing well. Yeah, sure.
I was say this. It started as an advice session for me, and it is actually good information. I'm taking all of this to heart, but now I'm curious. Like, do you now? I'm like curious into who Azzy is. So, do you? Because you're saying that you only need 3 to 5 months. Do you feel like you're just not in a space where you're ready to give that intention?
Wasn't in the space to give that attention, but like personal life related, there was a lot of complications in my life that kind of just distracted me from a lot of things, not just like, but mainly because of those distractions, and I was just emotionally dysregulated. So I wasn't like I knew I wasn't in a space to commit to anybody. But I would still try my best to go out, and
Put
I
yourself
would
out
have
there.
people tell me like you need to go out. So I go out and I would enjoy myself, and then when I would enjoy myself, I built a lot of meaningful like I'm a very easy person to make a relationship with, right? Because I'm very like to the point and I'm very blunt, and have my heart on my sleeve, right? I don't hold anything back. Plus, I don't make things weird. Like I've been raised to not be needy, right? And don't be weird and don't be creepy, but don't be too sexual, don't be too emotional, right? Because that will complicate relationships. And then it's harder to get people to be themselves, right? Because relationships are more than just sexual romantic tension.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So like, I was just curious. So, do you? I guess my question would be, or do you have a desire for a relationship or marriage now at this point in your life, or do you, or like not really? Like
Oh,
you're
for
like it would
sure.
be
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, I always had it since like 2018. But then 2018, I was courting somebody. I was
Mm-hmm.
courting her for like a year. And she went through something like serious, and then it changed. And then when I asked her the question, she said no. I want to
I'm
remain
sorry.
friends.
I'm
So
sorry.
then and this is what I did. I said, oh, and this is what I was doing. I was intentionally calling her, like I was setting aside a time weekly to speak with her. And then I stopped and I said, okay, is she going to continue reaching out to me? She wasn't reaching out to me. So I'm like, all right, it's time to like move on. I didn't burn the bridge, my number, and I'm still available to talk to her, but she just stopped talking to me.
I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
I'm like, yeah, when you start, and that's the thing, like, and I knew her a lot. I met her dad, I met her mom. We were cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we went shopping, we went out to eat. I knew her, and I knew her, and she knew me, and she knew the things about me that I didn't like, and I knew the things about her that, or not didn't like, that I was uncomfortable with, and I knew the same thing for her. But I guess she just wasn't in the space, and things happened in her life that also caused her to have that, that made that decision as well. And after that, I just like decided to just focus on myself, improve myself a bit. And
Whenever
even while
you,
I was proving myself, I was still out there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I was out there, talking to women.
that's what I'm saying. If I'm about to say, if y'all ever, I don't know about that great thing that you're discussing, but if y'all ever want to get some hoes, I can run a class for that. I can
No,
get hoes.
because I would say bad bitches have bad problems. Like I recently sent
I can be on
y'all
a t-shirt.
I recently sent y'all a picture of me going to the club, and all the women in there just look so like I don't know, bro.
What?
The only girls I would probably talk to in a club or in a bar situation are the girls who are working.
Wait,
Because
Yeah,
what? Now, hold
clubs
on.
haven't been fun for a while, but bottle service girls they're
like, yeah,
fine,
the
but you can
bottle
tell they're
service
up to no
girls.
good. The
I
bottle
went to
girls,
a place like that. I probably never go back because I just didn't enjoy it. But the only girls who I were like interested in and who looked like they were like still like of sound mind and like approachable were the bottle service
What
girls,
is
the hookah
this?
girls, and the people who are working there.
This is
Everybody else was just
nonsense.
like
This is
everybody else was
okay.
like
I was with you
that's
before,
me
Azzy,
personally.
especially when you're
That's
talking
me
about.
personally.
Yeah, I know, but like, I'm saying you have a weird perspective. Um, like, you don't? Is it that these other women dress like sluts? What's wrong with them? Like, what about them? Like, put you off?
Whenever I
I
look
get it.
at them, you know, there's like a level of like expectation of the type of dude. Like a lot of girls, first of all, there's like for instance, for my experience, there's like really only a few set type of girls who actually enjoy themselves in these environments at the club, you know.
Yeah, a club girl's not
And
everybody's
then
type.
when they see you, I'm not a hookah guy. I wasn't smoking the hookah. I wasn't drinking a lot. So I was still like myself. But these, when I would talk to them, they didn't see me enjoying myself like they were enjoying themselves, right? I gave off the wrong vibe. And the only people who I was like cool with are the people who were like working. Like I said, the bottle girls. And that's like using me at every function, right? I'm trying to like, I'm not really like out there partying a lot. I'm enjoying myself and I'm around you while you're enjoying yourself. But the ones who I like mingle with are the people who are like out there working. The bottle girls, the surface girls, the DJ, the
You
people
not a
taking the
hookah fan?
pictures.
I love a good
No,
hookah. I would say I don't drink at all, but hookah is my That's my vice.
I don't do anything, even
Don't
hookah.
And maybe that's not really clear, but
But
you know,
Never
that's
tried
just
it?
my perspective. And
Okay.
maybe it's immature. Maybe I should just go out
I
and
don't
like
know.
maybe I gotta experience them more. But it's
I'm
that's
not.
just been my
I'm
experience.
saying I'm not a club person at all. Like I hate going to club. I've hated it for a very long time. And even when I tried to like clubs, I never had good experiences with it. So I'm not like I'm defending a club atmosphere. I'm just my only thing is that like I wouldn't be judging like all of these women for suitability just because we're at an atmosphere that is problematic. I think the club atmosphere with the expectations in there is problematic and not conducive to forming healthy, like some sort of like healthy relationship. I
Oh, I'm
think
not
that's an
saying
issue.
that
But
I
I
couldn't
would,
meet.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not saying that in any other scenario, if I met the same girl, that we couldn't have like a decent relationship. But I'm saying, like, at that time when I'm in there talking to them in their bad girl phase, right? I'm not vibing, I'm not matching their vibe because
Okay.
I'm not the type of dude who, like, when somebody's in their bad girl phase, I'm gonna like comply
Okay.
and match their energy.
I think I understand what you're saying, and if I do, then okay, I guess I
Yeah.
accept that. What you're
The
saying.
club is really about vibes. If we vibe and you doing your thing and you being smooth, like for me, that's tiring. And that was always tiring for me trying to be smooth all the time. Me, I
Hmm.
want to have conversation. Like for me, I was the
Same
type of
here.
dude in school who would like after you talk to me, I'm like, oh, he a nice guy. I want to get with him. I'm that type of guy. And we all know type of guys like, oh, you talk to him a little bit, like, oh, he turns out he's a good guy. I'm interested in him. In fact, I had a friend come up to me like, yo, man, I don't know what you doing to these bitches, man. They talking about you. I'm like, and I was real, like, I was terrible. I had acne all over my face, man. I
Mhm.
was going through puberty, but I was like, whoa, I was really smoothing out. I was being smooth, but that was really tiring for me. Just trying to have all these conversations and be intentional, trying to learn. It's like,
Yeah.
nah.
I hear
Yeah,
you,
the
bro.
club isn't a place conducive to like long form or like in depth conversations. It's about to say it's honestly, I mean, because the music is literally too loud. It's really like a body language thing. It's like, hey, how are you? Having a good time? And then like dance a little bit. And if they dance back, like, okay, I guess we're dancing now. But yeah, overall, I hate the club, but I was good at it. I got good at the club because I needed like I had to. I don't know. I think it was just like an adaptability thing. My friends loved the club, and we were even like promoting parties. So it went to a point of like, oh, okay, if I'm gonna be here, I should figure out how to not make this like the most awkward, terrible time of my life. Um,
So you
but
gotta
yeah,
match the vibe.
I'm super out of like touch. I hadn't went to a club in probably no, I went to a club last year, but definitely not in 2024, and I don't plan on going back to
I
one.
haven't
I have
gone
done a
to
couple of smaller bars though.
I haven't gone to
Yeah,
club in
I'm a
7 years.
speaker. I'm a speaker. Like if you want to like, that's what I mean. Like it's easy to meet for me to like meet and get to know people in 3 to 5 months because I'm intentionally trying to talk to you, and I'm gonna put in the time to like do that. And I know I put in that social emotional work, introspective work to be that person, right? So if you haven't done that, or like, and you gotta be honest, like, are you doing you like when you hear all these podcasts with all these men and you're talking about, and I'm not talking about the red pill high value, I'm talking about those like I'm gonna say blue pill, purple pill, you know, the dude with the long beard and the crown around wrapped around his head. Are you eating your fruits and are you doing that? Are you meditating in the morning? If you are you doing those things he's talking about? Because if you do the things he's talking about, yeah, you're gonna meet some girls. They gonna
Yeah,
love
but
you.
I don't like the earthy type girls. The earthy type also I feel like the earthy type girls always end up with white men, surprisingly. Like
Oh,
they always
how you
have the
got there?
septum.
That's
They do yoga, like, and they look like the most like, oh, this is like the blackest black girl, and then she like dating like the whitest white man.
dang.
I don't know.
That's
I feel like it's a
wrong, bro.
stereotype, but it always seems to
Maybe
ring true.
you would be the chocolate brother that she needs, but you just You
Mm.
judged her
Hey,
too much. She was too bohemian, too earthy for you.
I think my type is just I like a good family girl. Look, she just looks like she's gonna be a good mom. Yeah, that's me. I just like just
I don't know what that mean. What does that mean? Tell me
you know,
more.
you never seen a girl just looks like a mom, like she's got like nephews, or maybe she has a kid and she's like family oriented, like oh yeah, I'll take care of you, blah 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 blah. Like oh let me, like if you talking or if you're dating, like she's like oh yeah, let me, I'll cook you something or like oh we'll, like
Because
meet your
I'm
mom.
really when I talk to those girls, it's because there's pressure to do those things. Like those girls have been told to do that, and
Yeah, they've
oftentimes
been raised that way.
they're
I'm
really
like
good with other people's kids, but they're not really good with their own kids when
Yeah.
they have them.
no bad. I was like
No, it's fine. We had pretty much gone off topic. So we had something I had planned, but we have too many little people, and without perspective, I wanted to hear on this issue, but unfortunately, we didn't have many people who could make it today.
yeah, I was gonna say I had to leave at 10 anyways today. Actually, I just didn't know.
Oh, you have to leave now.
Well, not now, but in like 10-15.
Okay. Well. Okay. Uh. So this is kind of an abridged version of All Black Everything, unfortunately. Hey Lactoid, thanks for the raid. And little Tago, whoever that may have been. Thank you as well. Guys, if you enjoyed this content, consider supporting the channel. Sub to the channel, give bits or give subs. If you're out there, if you liked it, I'd appreciate it. That's the way we keep this channel afloat. We can't do it without you. So consider supporting the channel. It's the beginning of the month, and we only have one sub so far. So consider helping us out. If you can. If a free sub, use your free sub here. Amazon Prime says Prime Gaming. Yeah, and our super chats on YouTube and all that. Anything you can do would be helpful. So I'll give an outro to all these great people. DQ, thanks for being around. If you're talking, we can't hear you, DQ.
Thanks, Prime, for allowing me to be here, and it's been fun as always, and can't wait for next week's topic.
It might be the same topic. I mean,
Nope, that's fine. That's fine. I looked forward to actually talking about that. So
yeah, I want to talk
Yeah.
about it too. I think it's a good topic. But unfortunately, we have just not enough perspectives with us today. Azzy, thank you. We haven't had you like recently. But we still always miss you, Azzy, right? I think you're a really interesting person. And I really hope you find whatever it is you're looking for out there. Like honestly, like I think like I wasn't lying. I think you're a really good catch. And I'm sure happiness is waiting for you somewhere out there. Maybe just taking a little longer than you might have wished, but I'm sure you'll find it, friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Prime. I receive your feelings, and it's really touching. I thank you. I think yeah. I think the corner is nearer than we think. There's just some few more kinks I'm just working out, and I just got to be more intentional with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I just been praying and moving, and yeah, I feel like there's somebody that I was going to speak to anyway, like literally like next week. So yeah, you might be right. Happiness is around the corner.
And also a little bit of a humble brag there, talking about all the hits he gets on Hinge, right? It's like I mean, it just happens. Like these ladies, I mean, they do come, they come looking.
Yo, chill on me. I didn't say I was getting enormous amounts of hits. I specifically said the hits I get, right? And it's a lot compared to the average dude, right? Now I'm not out here getting the 99s. I'm the hot stuff. You know what I mean? You know,
So,
where
yeah,
girls are lusting at me.
I know it's just how there you made it clear that yes, you're an above average man. No, it's I hear you, friend.
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
but in order to be above average, you gotta look at what everybody else is doing and say, nah, I
Fair
ain't
enough.
gonna do that. That's
That's
it.
fair. That's actually fair. But well, shout out to you, Azzy. Yeah, and shout out to my friend Bam. Here's what I love about my friend Bam. Like, I haven't talked to this guy in like 3 weeks. He said like he'd be busy. I'm like, cool, right? And then I just hit him up at 3 weeks later for Abe for ABE. And 2 seconds after like getting into the Discord, already a fight. I love it.
It's social media. I'm like, hey, I disagree.
Yeah,
We never miss.
it's
No
great.
problem.
No, we have such good conversations like on the regular. I always know with Bam, right? Like I can have like a great conversation. Like we'll find something, right? It doesn't matter if it's small. Well, he's going to dig his heels in on one side. I'll take my heels on the other side. And yeah, we're gonna fight about it. And it's gonna be a good time. And like that's why I really missed you. I missed you over these these
did.
few weeks, man.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, I'm super glad to be back. Yeah, I was about to say it. I just had like family things going on. Nothing's crazy, just people having surgeries, trying to take care of them, and then we ended up having the holiday season come in like right at the end of that. I hope if for y'all that celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope all of y'all had like decent time, ate some decent food or whatever. You didn't you didn't go to Thanksgiving last year, did you? Did you go this year?
You're talking about me.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I was
Yeah,
right here.
I'm sure they told you, like, oh, we're going, and you're like, I'm fine. And it's like,
No, they didn't say anything to me. Oh, you mean
they
the rest
just
of my
left.
family?
They just
No.
knew.
Don't even bother. Yeah, it's fine.
They just accept it. Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
wow. You gotta go, man.
I'm
You gotta
a
get out
recluse. People don't believe that. I'm a fucking recluse. I don't
there.
talk to anybody.
Even this is one of those special days. But no, yeah, I super missed the space. I always appreciate the opportunity to be here. And it was like it was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like it was interesting because I was like, oh, there is a couple things. I'm sure. Well, let me guess. Monday, did you do the reverie? Did you do the Hunter Biden stuff?
And we absolutely did. Yeah.
Where are you sitting in on it?
I have lots of thoughts. And I was thinking of you, Bam, actually. I was thinking those thoughts about how shit Joe Biden is.
Oh God, I knew it! I knew it! I knew you were gonna do it. He's
a
I
shit.
thought I was like maybe.
Don't become a father, Brian. Don't be a dad.
Don't be a dad. No, I don't understand. Oh
I
no,
can't
no.
believe-
Oh no. I can understand it under a personal
Okay.
perspective, obviously, right?
From a
Yeah, like
presidential perspective.
yeah, but from a
was the right decision.
presidential perspective, it's a problem. It's and from a campaign perspective, it's an issue, right? Like they've been lying to Joe Biden. And this is his entire fucking presidency. Like this is just like this seems to be the cherry on top to an entire presidency where he has pushed forward values that he doesn't actually stand by at all, right? He's actually not this principled individual that he tries to put himself off as, right? Looking specifically at the part, and it's, hey, I respect the judicial process, right? He said it over and over again, and had his
it played
lackey,
out.
Karine Jean-Pierre, say it over and over again. Yeah, he let it play out. Then he's like, oh, yeah, it's unfair. Here's the thing. You saw that letter, right? The letter that he said he put out.
Yeah, it was
on
a political game.
Yeah, it's
100%.
yeah. And he,
Raw
what does he say?
politics.
So like we got people like fucking Whoopi Goldberg like running interference for Joe Biden, saying there's no lie here. He didn't lie. He just changed his mind. There's no lie here. Okay, right? Like I don't believe that, right? And I have some evidence to say that I don't believe that. But let's just take that on face fucking value. He's saying that Hunter Biden was targeted because he is the son of Joe Biden, right? That like that's why he got those charges in the first place. But those were the facts of the matter beforehand, right? Those were the facts of the matter in June, July, August, September, October, right? Those were the
When
facts
was
of
the
the
plea?
matter.
When was the plea deal pulled out from under him?
I
That's the thing that matters on relate to the statement.
I don't I don't I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I don't know when that happened. That happened months ago. It happened months ago. So whatever.
I don't know if it was prior to Joe Biden's statement.
Whatever. No. But anyway, he kept repeating it multiple times, right? Like this. I'm talking about the statement that he made on Monday when the pardon came
No,
down.
I understand when he released the thing, but I'm talking when you're saying he's lying. I'm assuming you're saying he said he wouldn't pardon him, but I'm saying that him saying he wouldn't pardon him. Like one, if it is, I'm not gonna lie and say that. I guess I'm not gonna lie and say that I care if Diddy lied. I actually don't care that much, but there's how we treat it is going to in society is gonna matter based on when like Hunter Biden and deal there was a plea deal set up that was like there was gonna be like probation or something, which is the right thing for this type of crime.
Agreed.
But
I don't think it even should be a crime. Yeah. Agreed.
yeah, but they politically like the Republicans like basically pulled the rug on the plea deal out from under him, and now Hunter Biden's facing like 20 years in prison. And like they're gonna do even like
no. Well, no. Actually, now the more I think about what you're saying, like the angrier it makes me. Like, what the fuck? No. Oh, okay. So I'll respect what the jury decides, meaning he's guilty, right? I'll respect that. But he
Well,
didn't
there
get
wasn't
the
supposed to be
plea
a
deal
case.
that
There
I
was a
think he
deal.
deserves any which way. And so now I guess not. No, he didn't. That's not accepting the judicial process. No.
No.
Fuck that. That actually has that means nothing. No.
That means everything. That means everything. If you believe in, I'm sure you believe in some level of like a level of law. You like
No, I believe in a level of fairness beyond anything that Joe Biden believes. Because if Joe Biden actually cared about this, right? Because like the gun charge is bullshit, right? Like to say on the forum that you've never used any sort of drug, right? But people use drugs from all points times of their life, right? It becomes a trap law, and then it makes you can't get a gun if you smoke. Technically, if you smoke weed when you're 15, right? Then you can't get a gun. That's bullshit, right? And I can understand that's bullshit. Well, then what did Joe Biden, the president, do about that? Well, nothing. Well, not for anything else. He wasn't pushing to get this thing retracted, right? Because Joe Biden loves putting people in jail for
nobody goes to jail for this.
No. I'm talking about for the drug war. You know, let me finish. For the drug war, Joe Drug War Biden, right? All his
There's
life
issues with
pushing.
drugs.
Yeah. Oh no. All his
An
life
all or
pushing
nothing
for
thing.
that, right? Pushing for punishments for other people. He's always fine with that. But now when it came to his son, certainly not. And again, it's not like he was pushing for any sort of reform in this situation. Okay, hey, actually, Congress, we should change this form. I'm not sure he has to go to Congress. I don't know if he has to go to Congress to change that form. That might be specifically under his purview. As the head of, because this FBI form, he might actually just be able to change that, right? Just put out a memo, get that done. He didn't do that for everyone else, right? Like, yes, that this is a targeted prosecution, but he didn't care about anyone else, and that's what.
But it doesn't affect
This is a
anyone
specific application for power when it comes to him. And it's not the only time, right? So
It would be
like,
it would be one thing if there was like if this was actually affecting other people. So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's a difference of rule and law. I can say that like laws are important.
Yeah.
Like we want to let the
Drug
process
laws,
play out.
the drug war has been affecting other people.
But if someone
And yet-
wait a minute.
and
But if
we're-
someone after a jaywalking like charge was like sentenced to execution, you would be like, wait a minute, that's not reasonable. And then you would come back and say you're not letting anyone else go to stop. You're not stopping all jaywalking.
We're not talking about
like,
that
wait a minute,
system,
no,
are we?
it's about the consequences. that come from
No,
it.
we're not.
No
talking
one
about
faces
that
consequences
system.
for the
We're not talking about
crimes
it because we have a system. Well, jaywalking is actually a bullshit charge as well. I think jaywalking is there's a whole history about jaywalking. It's actually quite interesting. The history about jaywalking. It's a bullshit crime in the first place, right? But still, even for this bullshit crime, our punishment is like within the realm of reasonability. You're saying for something that is not you're giving an example that is not within the realm of reasonability and saying, well, why don't
Yeah.
you react to that thing, right? But
Yeah,
for
because Hunter Biden was facing like what almost nearly life for like this. I'm saying no one does that was going to be sentenced to the time he was going to be sentenced to. Like it would be one thing if it was like if he was facing the same consequences as everyone else that goes through like this level of crime. He wasn't. Like they were, because people don't even really know the crime.
sure,
There was,
hold on, and again,
he was like
this
25 to
he
life.
does a specific application of power to benefit Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a narcissistic,
But it doesn't impact anybody else. You have to
selfish
deal with that
piece
part.
of shit, right? And
How is it
genocide.
selfish? Who else does it impact? Who else does this law
No,
affect?
but yeah,
No one.
because you're not listening. Because I'm telling you right now, I've been telling you this entire time.
know you're talking about the
Everybody
drugs in
else,
general.
hold on. I'm telling you right now. Everybody else. He is not like saying that. Okay, I understand that within our justice system we have an injustice, right? We have a trap law that affects other people, right? Or that our drug war in general is nonsensical. Why we have this question? Because of the drug war that he's been pushing this entire time, right? So rather than taking this opportunity to like pardon his son, but also like change this injustice, change that form, right? Or like make some significant change into the drug into how the drug war is being prosecuted, or right, also doing mass pardons. And I'm gonna hold my breath for this one, right? Mass pardons of other people caught up in bullshit drug crimes. Instead of doing any of that, he just uses his power for his son. So hold on. So I'm gonna hold on this part, right? If in the coming months Joe Biden does like some sort of mass pardons of people who were convicted of nonviolent drug offenses, right, on the federal level,
This doesn't have to
okay,
impact
then it's
every
different.
nonviolent drug offense.
I didn't say
Like
he
I
had
said,
to do
he was
everyone. I said
okay.
I said
He was
just
okay
mass
with
pardons. I didn't
Hunter
say all of
facing
them.
consequences. Again, it's just the consequences weren't within the realm of reasonability.
Oh
or
yeah,
law.
yeah, but hold on. But that's not. But other people don't get that choice. That's my thing. That's what I'm saying right now.
No, but it
That's
doesn't. No,
my-
no one else gets that choice because it doesn't happen to anybody else.
Yeah, and
It
I'm
doesn't
saying,
happen.
and I'm saying,
No
this is a
one-
matter
again, like,
of this disgusting nepotism and corruption.
No, wait,
on his
Ram.
part, absolutely.
Wait a minute. We have to go back to my
Okay.
hypothetical, so I understand it. So I know that you understand what I'm saying. Do you believe that everyone who gets charged with jaywalking gets the death penalty?
That your hypothetical doesn't make any fucking sense.
No,
like,
you
it
just
doesn't
deal with
apply
it.
to this.
I want to know what you're dealing. I want to know that we're talking in the same
It would be-
reality.
that
So
would
if someone,
be-
so if
that would-
someone was facing the death penalty for the thing, does Joe Biden have to do something about every jaywalking?
That would be
or can he point out
outside
that, like,
the realm of
unique
reasonability, right?
consequence?
Because it'd be ending with death for a very small crime. This
Right.
charge was not outside the realm of reasonability.
No one. So you would have to show me someone doing 25 to life for checking off that box on a gun charge. That's what you would have to show.
I'm saying
that
I'm saying no. Within the context of this trap law, right? Like it's fine because you lied to the federal government, right? But I'm saying I believe the trap law in general is unfair, and he should get rid of this.
But
This shouldn't
you
be
have
the
to show
case,
that
but
it
he doesn't
impacts
do
anyone
that.
else. It's not impacting anyone else.
Hold on.
Ram.
But your problem is that the trap law was enacted, not that the trap law exists, right? You're fine with this being on the form and leaving this in the power of the state to use it later on, right? Rather than okay, so it's fine again. Well, then you could be best. And no wonder you love Joe. No wonder you love Joe Biden because it's the application. It's like as long as it doesn't affect anyone powerful or anyone you care about.
No, it doesn't affect anyone. I'm saying you have to show anyone it impacts. It never impacted anyone.
But we're saying, but you.
What's
Joe Biden is saying that, like,
ramifications of the
Joe
pardon?
Biden's argument is saying is that this only happened because it was his son, right? He's saying there's an injustice happening here, right? That there is this system allows for people to be prosecuted under this law, right? Rather than changing that law or changing this regulation, like a rule, it's not even a law, right? It's a rule. Rather than doing anything about that to show that he is a president for us all, he shows
There's
that
positive applications of that law. This
Huh?
isn't one of them. There's positive reasons why you should be able to reject someone related to drugs. They're like that can exist and that can exist.
Okay. So then smoking crack would be one of those. Smoking crack within the
No.
last 5 years is actually one of those. 100%.
No, that's not.
Well, then
no,
in
I
that
don't think
case,
that's one of
then I take it all back. Then Joe Biden is definitely even worse, right? He's even more in the wrong because his drug addict, junkie, crack smoking piece of shit son actually did smoke crack and 5 years ago. And
Do you believe
he
that's
is
reasonable? Do you
he
believe
is a
that's
danger.
reasonable?
No, fuck him. No, fuck him. Then actually,
Wait.
fuck him more than before. I was trying to be
Is that what you
reasonable, but
believe?
no, fuck him now. Actually, no, he deserves to be in jail.
yeah.
He 100% deserves to be in jail, and now he's not suffering the consequences of his action. And Joe Biden helped him avoid it. Of course he did, because Joe Biden's a disgusting human being.
Wait a minute.
Exactly
do you
what I
believe-
thought
do you
about
believe-
him the entire
do you believe
goddamn
that
time. Fuck
do you
him.
believe that someone? Do you believe that someone being a former addict should prevent them from buying a gun?
Now I'm saying yes.
I'm asking you what
Now
you
I'm
believe.
saying
You said you
yes.
believe.
No, yes, yeah, no, because like you said, like there are valid
There
reasons
are-
as to.
there's certain
Okay, yes,
applications that
then
are
he's a fucking junkie drug addict. He's a crackhead. Then yes, that would be a reason, 100%.
That's-
We don't let
Well,
crackheads.
I disagree.
We don't
I
let
don't believe that's
crackheads
the
have
application.
guns.
I don't think that's the reasonable application. I think there are
Then I
reasonable
do, but I
applications.
do now. But I do.
Okay.
I do now.
Then in that case, do you think that they should do 25 to life? You think that
Yes,
that's the-
actually, because you're a fucking crackhead, and crackheads shouldn't have guns. We've decided this as a society. It's on the form, right? That form that Joe Biden doesn't want to change, right? That's under his.
Wait a minute.
It's under his jurisdiction to change.
Are you making? Wait again. I'm asking you. What do you believe? Do you believe that because there's a rule that can be applied in a wildly different circumstances, that there's no way of judging which ones are reasonable and unreasonable? It's all or nothing.
Oh, I was doing that previously, but like you said,
No,
hey,
you said the law shouldn't exist, or if it
I
does
said that
exist, it has to-
previously. I said
No,
that
that's what
law
I'm saying.
shouldn't exist.
Exactly. I disagree. I think it should exist, but I
Well,
think
okay, then I
there's
agree with you. Then now you've convinced me, and I
You're
agree
not-
with you. And then that
you're-
junkie
You're not being
crackhead of his son he
guilty.
has, right? Well, he shouldn't be allowed to have a gun. I agree.
Again,
What do we know? Do we know he's not going to relapse into his addiction? It was only 5 years ago.
That's-
Hasn't been enough time.
that's not the example.
He's and he's been
that's not the
committing
example that I
crimes,
was
right? Not just he's actually committed some it
So, Prime,
appears as
okay,
he's
I'm gonna ask you
committing
again
some
at
crime.
your rant. Do you believe that this is an all or nothing thing? Do you think that if a law has ways that it could technically apply that we probably wouldn't? You don't think it's possible there's a law that something could happen that could technically apply that we wouldn't reasonably want to apply it to? We could say that like that's not what the intention of this law was for, but there are good reasons for it to exist. You don't think that that exists? That's not a possible case.
Yeah, I'm saying you could find that for anything. You could find an unreasonable.
For anything.
Yes, but then that doesn't mean we don't have regulations, right? You can have an unreasonable regulation that, like in some cases, is actually quite useful, but on the whole, is damaging, right? That's what
We
I
should remove it?
originally was making the point for this regulation. But no, like you said, well, I mean, at some point it can be useful sometimes. Well, okay, well if it can be useful sometimes, and that's the rule, that's the bar. Okay, well then being a crackhead, right? It seems that shouldn't clear that bar.
Okay, so if we can, so then I'll ask you the opposite. If we can ever find out any situation where an outcome it would be less than ideal, we shouldn't be able to make a rule for it then.
Sorry,
If we can
I'm
create a hypothetical scenario for where making a rule might not work out, then we can't make the rule because it's gonna have I can imagine.
I would say there's a reasonable list for reasonableness.
Now
for
there's a
rules.
reasonable standard. Now we can do that, and we can
Yeah,
decide.
hold on.
that some
That
things
was
are-
my argument previously, but now you're saying, no.
No,
No,
you said the rule.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
What was the reasonable standard you gave? I don't remember it. What'd you give?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that before Bam convinced me otherwise, right? Before that law is unreasonable because it casts too wide of a net. That it's saying that if you've used drugs at any point in time previously, well then now you aren't eligible to get a gun. and that casts way too high, and it's not even useful. It's not a useful data to say that someone within our drug filled country has used illicit drugs previously. And that's not useful data to judge if they are necessarily a threat, right? That was my previous position, but Bam convinced me, right?
That's not a
And now
reasonable
I think his
standard.
crackhead
That's not a
son
reasonable
should
standard. That's
absolutely
a
go to jail for
reasonable
this.
argument to
Yeah, you're
get.
just saying
That's a
get rid
reasonable
of it.
argument to get rid of the law, but that's not a reasonable standard to keep the law. Man, I'm
I
saying
said
there's a
that.
reason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we should get rid of that. Before I was saying we should get rid of the law because it's too wide.
Okay,
You
that's
just said
fine,
before
but
that,
that's not the.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's not
different
what
from
Bam
reasonable
was
standard.
saying.
Oh, so you're saying you want okay, well I want something um
I'm saying that like like I said, there's laws in place where we can imagine a hypothetical
I'm
situation
against the drug
where
war in
somebody then
general.
applies it weirdly, but
So
you can say there's a reasonable standard of like what we mean when
no,
we say
I'm
what's the
against the
intention
drug
behind it.
war in general. So if it was me, I see, if I was Joe Biden, well, I couldn't be Joe Biden because I'm not genocidal and I'm not dedicated to immiserating the public through a drug war, right? So it doesn't really make sense. But if I was the president, right, some other president, well, then I would be looking for ways to dismantle the drug war. And so part of that would be
Killed
allowing
millions.
people to buy firearms despite their past of illicit drug use.
Sure, what about their past? But someone comes in with a crack pipe in their hand, and they try to get a gun. We should. It's okay to have
It's
a
only a problem if
discretionary
they're
rule.
inebriated. If they're not inebriated at that time, it'd be one thing. Yeah, like I wouldn't allow a person who's drunk to buy a weapon. But if I see that we have a possession of drug paraphernalia, no, I wouldn't. If they had a bong in their hands, I wouldn't deny them a gun.
Shirt says I'm gonna kill myself after I get drunk.
Well, no, if there's reasonable.
No, it's not reasonable. You said it's all or nothing. That's the way you've existed in this world. Is stay there or change. It's one or the other.
No, it's what do you, well, no, I can't. Which one do you want? Do you want the ones that like that allows for a loophole, right? The argument that allows a loophole where Joe Biden can pardon just his son, and then everyone else is supposed to simply accept that as Joe being a good father, rather than that understanding that he's a president who actually has power, right, and who has a career where he's dedicated to immiserating the population through a drug war that he's been popularizing for decades, right? The laws that he's put in place, right? Specifically Joe Biden, not just any backbencher senator, right? But specifically Joe Biden pushing a drug war has immiserated millions of individuals, right? Who never got the chance, who didn't have anyone in power to let them go, right? Like you want me to like admit that, well, yes, he can do all of that, right? And then save his son from the consequences of his actions, and then you should be okay with that. Sorry, I'm never going to buy on agree to that.
Again, because you're applying it
ever.
because you're the one that's casting two out of a net. You're saying that like, wait a minute, isn't there issues with other things that happen with drugs in the world? He's not going to rid of all drug laws.
No.
He can't have any.
Okay, then
he can't expect reasonable discretion.
Okay, well then
Like,
I'll be consistent. I'll say that no one should get a pardon. Then no one should get a pardon. Then no one should.
I
including
disagree.
his
I believe in
bum ass
the
son.
pardon power of the president. I'm saying that
I
there.
don't.
I'm saying that there. It was an honest pardon due to like the lack of discretion. I'm saying because you're saying that the laws don't come with discretion. You're saying there's no discretion with laws. I don't know what world you're living in.
I don't think he should even have a pardon power. I actually don't think the president should have pardon power. It's a weird quirk within our constitution. And I've been hearing a little bit about like the origins of that, right? But like it's like a weird thing that we allow like the executive to do, and it's unnecessary. So he shouldn't actually have that in the first place, but he does have it, right? And his pardon power is not checked, so he can do whatever he wants legally, sure, right? I'm saying that if we're to judge this particular use, rather than using it for the benefit of his citizens, right? To say that here there's injustices that's what
stay with the pardon. I understand, but stay within the pardon. Why was this unjust pardon?
It's unjust because because of all the reasons I said. Because it's a an act of nepotism, right? Of pure corruption for his
Wait a minute.
own family, for the benefit of his own family.
Wait a minute.
So-
You have to, wait,
If he had been convicted of murder, let me see that. If he had been convicted of murder, and should he have been pardon his son? Right, his son's going to face some serious consequences now. Should
no,
he pardon
you
his
shouldn't-
son?
No, no, you
Why
shouldn't
not?
pardon his son of murder because there's a
Different.
if
entirely.
he acted his son murdered someone, there's a reasonable expectation that he should face prison time as consequence.
No,
because
but it's a lot. It's
everyone
a
who-
lot of prison time. Actually, it's
Sure,
gonna be a
and
lot of prison time.
everyone who murders faces a lot of
Yeah.
prison
Oh,
time.
yeah, and everyone and other people who run afoul of the drug war in general.
No, they don't.
Not-
No one does. Not
No,
a single person.
I'm not talking about
You
this
can't-
fucking. I'm not just talking about this law. Hold on.
No,
Stop
I'm
trying
talking
to.
about this law.
Stop trying.
About anything else but this law.
No, because it actually does matter. Because Joe, sorry, I'm sorry.
doesn't matter.
I can't do this. Sorry. Now I'm too frustrated because now I don't care anymore. Like because you want to like pretend
Yes,
that
I
the
wanna
history
see
of
what
Joe
actually
Biden
happened.
doesn't fucking exist. No, I'm
No, it
sorry.
does
I'm
matter.
not going
It
to. I'm not going
happened in this
to drill down into a specific context that maybe makes you think that I
No,
guess Joe
that's what
Biden's a
makes
reasonable
it-
individual. When Joe
Right,
Biden
that's what makes it
specifically has
beautiful.
immiserated millions of people in this country with his laws, right? And I'm saying, hey, there's an opportunity right now to actually to do better, right? And you're like, well, he shouldn't have to do better. Actually, he should be able to get away not only immiserating
No,
millions of
that's not
Americans,
what-
but
that's not what
also
he's saying.
immiserating the people within the Middle East with a genocidal war that he's been.
I don't know how we got over to the Middle East.
No,
I said
because
it's
it's
a good
everything.
part.
Because hold on, because like I was saying previously, where you interrupted me at the very start of this conversation, this is a pattern of Joe Biden. It's not
I don't
just
care about
this.
that. I care about the
Okay,
party.
well then I
You
do.
talk
But
about the
then
party.
we can't talk. We can't have this conversation.
And we
because I
can't
do.
talk- we can't-
No,
we
you
have a
can't.
party.
No,
We
no,
have a
because no,
party.
because if you
Fine.
can't understand a
Would-
pattern,
would
if you
you-
can't do that,
would
then
you
we
pardon-
literally can't talk about it. Because no, I won't have a conversation where we're only talking about this one singular individual thing without any context around it, other than the fact that they were unfair to his little boy. I don't give a fuck about that. I don't give a fuck about that. That's my
You're wrong.
opinion.
It-
My
it
opinion.
needs to be a
I don't care.
pardon.
I don't care. I don't give a fuck about that. So like my opinion on this is based on actually
have an
looking at
opinion on
the decades
Man, you interrupted me.
of this
Come on, let me
individual.
go.
It's about like looking at this presidency as a whole, right? Because maybe then actually I won't even say that. Like yeah, just fuck Joe Biden as always.
Okay.
So
No,
Yeah,
hold on.
I'm
Would-
gone.
do you
No,
think
no,
he
thank you.
would've-
No,
do you
I'm
think he would've-
done. I am done.
Hold on, one question.
Thank
and
you,
then we're good.
Bam.
No, one question real quick.
done.
No, do me this. Do me this,
thank
friend.
you.
Come
Not
on.
even sweet ass.
Thank you,
Come on,
Parallax, for
Brian,
the
one
$5
last
super chat.
question.
He says, "Why is debate
I don't want to
queen
talk
doing
about it.
the longest line in the history of people doing coke live on streams? Or is she asleep? She's probably asleep. I don't know what was going on with that. I saw that too, Parallax. Parallax, thank you for the $5 super chat. I'm like, I'm fucking annoyed. Any which way. Thanks, everyone. I'm gonna send you out.
No,
Let's see
hold
what
on,
the-
no.
Who do you?
Would he pardon him if Kamala won?
Would he have part? I would think he's gonna pardon him either way.
He was
Oh,
already-
I don't think so.
Yeah, he's a fucking liar
Formula
actually.
what it is,
Yeah, he's a
actually.
disgusting
That-
fucking
that
liar. So I'm gonna send you guys off to this Tatty Mix, who I've rated before in the past, actually, once before. So